It is a gorgeous night in the Bay Area. Welcome to Sunken Diamond. Big crowd on hand for Game 4, the Stanford Regional, as the NCAA tournament presented by Capital One, and a tremendous matchup between the Pac-12 champs and #2 national seed, the Stanford Cardinal against the Big West champs, Cal State Fullerton, each winning last night to get to this winner's bracket game. Earlier today, Baylor beat Wright State. They're in an elimination game tomorrow afternoon against the loser of our matchup here tonight. Along with Arizona Hall of Famer, national champion Wes Clements, Roxy Bernstein with you, and what a matchup we have for you between two conference champions here tonight.
You're not kidding. The Big West champs, the Pac-12 champs, two elite West Coast programs. And how about this, Rox? The 18th time that these two teams have met in the postseason.
And the fourth most played rivalry in NCAA tournament history. And for Stanford to get here as a dramatic walk-off win last night for the Cardinal, who went deep into the night in the bottom of the 13th with two down, Christian Robinson, the game-winning hit.
Well, Christian finds the ball right down the first base line, and then Doshbach was on first base. He scores the winning run. Big-time moment for the freshman.
For Cal State Fullerton yesterday, the Titans, their story is pitching and defense, and Colton Eastman, 7 outstanding innings on the hill, pitching the Titans into this winner's bracket game.
Well, he's been a sensational elite national pitcher the entire year. This young man yesterday was off the charts, Roxy. Solid. He threw a no-hitter earlier this year at Santa Barbara.
So it's the Pac-12 champs, the Stanford Cardinal, the Big West champs, the Cal State Fullerton Titans, meeting here at Sunken Diamond in this winner's bracket matchup of the Stanford Regional. Lineups and first pitch straight ahead.
NCAA Baseball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and 2% on groceries. And in part by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Beautiful Saturday night in the Bay Area in a winner's bracket game between two conference champions. A look at the Stanford Cardinal lineup, the Pac-12 champs. And for David Esker's club, the #2 national seed, 45-10 overall after the win last night against Wright State, the Horizon League champs. Bo Branton leads it off. Tim Tao, the freshman third baseman. Nico Horner, Andrew Dashbach leads Stanford in home runs, the cleanup batter at first base. Kyle Stowers in left, Will Matheson the DH. Brandon Wolf is in right field. Christian Malfetta catching. And Alec Wilson batting ninth in center field as Bo Branton, the senior from Honolulu, leads it off. 371 batter, homer 22 driven in is Tommy Wilson. Delivers strike one. Wilson 6-0 and a 2.82 ERA. As there is Branton, who attended Punahou High School over in Honolulu, in Hawaii, and the island of Oahu.
I thought I was going to be. You're going to let me say Hawaii.
Got to be quick, man. Got to be quick.
Did I get it?
Branton 1 for 6 last night with a run. Right-hander, the junior Wilson. And Branton skies this foul back and out of play. And speaking of Punahou High School.
Yes.
Do you know who also was a graduate of Punahou High School?
I think you know that answer, and that's no.
How about President Barack Obama?
Wow.
Went to Punahou High School in Hawaii. So the senior Branton has had a terrific year. Leading it off for the Cardinal. And that crowd's with the bat cocked. And he fouls this one back to the screen.
Well, you see Wilson, and Wilson on the mound, Rocks, he's been solid. Has numbers very similar to what we have seen in the history of the Titans' history as far as pitchers go. Doesn't walk very many. Gets the ball and throws it. He's got a fastball, a sinker, a two-seamer, and a four-seamer, and a slider and a changeup.
6'4", 220, a junior from L.A., went to Pierce Junior College as Branton takes high. Well, you know my favorite thing about Tommy Wilson, don't you?
No. Oh.
His dad is Thomas F. Wilson. You may remember him as the antagonist Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. That's Tommy's dad.
So we have royalty somewhere in the stands tonight.
And Branton takes that inside, and it hit him. And Stanford has a leadoff base runner. Branton takes one for the team. So he is aboard. There are the numbers, particulars on Wilson. Yeah, his dad, you can't miss him. He's sitting right behind the Fullerton bench, or dugout, rather. And he's pretty loud. Oh, he's got the headset on. There he is, Thomas F. Wilson.
Do you think he's listening to us somehow? Because you know
he could have the
technology.
App.
You never
know.
know.
The watch app.
He could have it in his pocket.
Here's Tim Tawa, 308 for the freshman with 7 home runs. Terrific athlete. Was an all-state football player in high school, as well as an all-state baseball player up in West Lynn, Oregon.
You know, it seems to me, Roxy, in California, of course I grew up here, but there seems to be a ton of multi-sports athletes here.
But he's from Oregon.
Huh?
But he's from Oregon.
Okay. I was talking about California in general.
Oh, but he's from Oregon.
I understand. I just
wanted you to know.
I just decided to bring it up that in California. That's all. That's where I'm from, Ron.
1-1 on Tawa. Last night, Tawa 3-hit night. A pair of doubles drove in a run. Branton, a leadoff hit by pitch at first base. Throw over from Wilson. Stanford a victory over Wright State last night. Cal State Fullerton beat Baylor. And Baylor eliminated the Raiders of Wright State earlier today. This afternoon, a late surge by Baylor. Tawa tried to hold up, could not. Says plate umpire Damian Beal. 1-2 on Tawa.
Well, that game today, Rox, knotted at 4. And then all of a sudden, Baylor scored 4 in the 8th, tacked on some more in the 9th, and ball game.
11-5, Baylor beat the Horizon League champs, sending them home. So the Big 12 tournament champs will come back tomorrow afternoon in an elimination game against the loser here tonight. Branton Bluff's going as Tawa down on strikes. Wonder if Dad over there is saying, make like a tree and get out of here.
Oh, you did not just say that.
Didn't you see Back to the Future?
Of course I've seen Back to the Future.
Well, that's what Biff said in the movie.
Okay.
So you got a problem with that? No. I'm just saying what Biff said.
Okay.
There's one gone.
Did you know in Oregon there's a lot of multi-sport athletes?
One out here in the top of the first as Dad looks on. Nico Horner, the Stanford shortstop, climbs in, 348 with a couple of homers. The all Pac-12 shortstop takes a strike.
2 elite programs, huh? For the 18th time, Rox, these two hook up in the postseason.
4th most played postseason rivalry. One strike pitch. Horner swings and launches one to left. Going back is Richards at the warning track and up against the fence, makes the catch. And hustling back to first is Branton as Horner gave it a ride, but Jairus Richards able to make the catch up against the wall in left field.
And Roxy, every time a ball is hit to left, we don't take our eyes off it because there's been a lot of things going on in left field, whether it be hitting sprinklers or hitting something out there, the ball's bouncing over somebody. A lot of the outfielders in left field, for some reason, it had trouble with the wind. And it looked like Richards was waiting for about 5 seconds for that ball to come down.
Seemed like it was up there for an eternity. So 2 outs, and here is Andrew Dashbach, the first baseman.
Scored the winning run last night from first.
On the game-winning hit from Christian Robinson. A couple of doubles last night for Dashbach. And a big swing and a miss. So Dashbach leads Stanford in homers and RBIs, 4th in the Pac-12 in home runs. Sophomore from Atherton, about 10 minutes from here. And it's 1-1 on the Stanford cleanup batter with Branton at first base.
I'm not sure if that was a pitch out or not, Rox.
Semi-pitch out?
Yeah, something like that. Beautiful night. Not so much today.
No wind to speak of. It was warm. It was really warm here at Sunken Diamond today. It's tremendous here tonight. Not a cloud.
Yeah, earlier today, it's the first time I've ever seen you hotter than me.
It was a little uncomfortable. But we made it through.
We did. You see the weather, 72 and clear.
Can't beat this. You just can't.
Northwest wind. Did you catch that?
I don't see any wind right now. Dashbox skies it right side. Foul ground. Jake Pavlidich for Cal State Fullerton puts it away. Side retired. Leadoff base runner is stranded for the Cardinal. Cal State Fullerton coming to bat. Here come the Titans in the home half of the first. Even though this matchup is at Stanford, Cal State Fullerton, the designated home team in this game. And the lineup for Rick Vanderhook and the Titans. Hank LaForte leads it off, and LaForte has been on a great roll as of late. Mitch Berryhill batting second and center. Ruben Cardenas. Daniel Cope, the cleanup batter, hitting fifth. Zahid Valenzuela at short. Jacob Pavlidich. Chris Prescott, the DH. Jarris Richards hits eighth, and Brett Borgonio bats ninth. For Cal State Fullerton against a tough lefty, Chris Bubich on the mound for Stanford tonight.
Well, everybody that's in pro baseball knows who this left-hander is. He's been solid the entire year. You see 6'3". Hometown, Rox, San Jose.
Just down the road?
Just down the road. You see his numbers, the 273, the 91 punch-outs in 79 innings. He's just been absolutely consistent the entire year. Most likely, Roxy, first-round draft pick on the mound.
And he is the number 2 starter for the Stanford team as Hank LaForte has an impressive hitting streak and on-base streak running for Cal State Fullerton. 1 for 5 of the run yesterday, hitting .338. As left on left as Bubich delivers, and the 1-0 is in there for a strike.
Yeah, Hank LaForte is a big reason and a big part of the turnaround the Titans had.
He has a 40-game on-base streak still going. And make it 41 games in a row. Hank LaForte has reached base.
Well, that's exactly how he started yesterday's game. You may remember the single up the middle, and here we go again. 41, and along now, Roxy, I believe it's an 18-game hitting streak.
It is. So LaForte is on. Here comes Mitch Berryhill, the center fielder.
Now, this is a different Titan team. Over the years, the Titans have normally had some power in the lineup. This year, not so much. They have played fundamental baseball. Berryhill leads the club in sacrifice bunts. They have figured out different ways to score runs.
And as a team, we talked about this yesterday, but they have hit only 11 home runs all season.
Mm-hmm.
Bubich from the set. Berryhill bunts and a foul at home plate. Mitchell Berryhill, the junior from Smithfield, Utah, and transfer from Salt Lake Community College.
And David Esker, the head coach of Stanford. I mean, there's nothing. They both know each other very well, Rick Vanderhook and David Esker. So there's no surprise on what the Titans will do with this particular lineup and this year. Take a look at Rick. I like the shades, though, Rob.
I'm digging those shades on Hookie.
Yeah. They're not sunglasses. Those are prescription.
They beat Baylor yesterday, got an outstanding performance from Colton Eastman, who struck out 8 in 7 innings, getting his 10th victory of the year. It's pitching and defense. That's the name of the game, and playing small ball for the Titans.
Well, some people get frustrated if you say small ball, but it's just a different brand of baseball.
But it works.
It has worked this year, and it will actually always work if you do it at the right time.
Line foul by Berryhill. As Cal State Fullerton last year came up here to Sunken Diamond and won the Stanford Regional.
They did, and then earlier the year, their first season of the year was right here, and they got swept.
Stanford took all 3 games from Cal State Fullerton back February 16th through 18th, 5-1, 5-3, and then 6-5. So the Pac-12 champs against the Big West champs here tonight. Bubic steps off.
Well, if you're going to go off of Bubic, it's going to be on first move. The first move from the right leg going up, that's what I mean when you go on first move. Now,
only 4 steals for LaForte.
Mm-hmm.
Line left field, base hit by Berryhill going the other way. LaForte stops at second, back-to-back singles for Cal State Fullerton to start their night.
This is what they do. They try to slap the ball around the field and try to find a hole, and they do it right here with 2 strikes. You see it. It's a fastball in, more in than middle. And Berryhill just fezzes it through the 5-6 hole, and just like that, Rocks, first and second, and no outs for the Titans.
Ruben Cardenas, the right fielder, steps up for the Titans. .298 with 3 homers, the junior from Saugus. Cal State Fullerton trying to strike early. Playing up is Dashbach at first. Cardenas 2 for 5 here yesterday against Baylor. Shows bunt. And Christian Malfetta behind the plate. And again, as we talked about last night, he's in there for the injured Maverick Handley. As the normal Stanford catcher, Handley had a skateboarding accident a few weeks ago.
And how it happened kind of surprised us, Rocks. He wasn't going very fast at all. He just fell off.
He was barely even on it. And he hit something and he fell. And he injured his left arm in the fall. Here comes the 1-0. Cardenas takes a strike on the inside edge for Bubic. So Handley is getting better. He's week to week, as David Esker says. They're hoping, in best case scenario, that if they get through this regional here this weekend, that Stanford could possibly get Maverick Handley back for a super regional next week. One and one. The pitch. Bunted, Cardenas, foul ball.
You just never can be surprised at what Rick Vanderhook's going to do. Now, listen, we're looking at a man that's very powerful. Doesn't have a lot of home runs.
If he keeps the bunt on with 2 strikes, I will be surprised. It's
yeah, but you wouldn't put it past him, would you?
I wouldn't put it past him, but with my 3-hitter,
right,
I wouldn't leave it on. But then again, if he laid one down, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, Cardenas has a lot of power opposite field, but it was just very interesting. He faked the bunt on the very first pitch, which ends up being a ball. Then it's a called strike, and then Rick Vanderhook goes right back to the bunt.
Bubic. 1-2. That's high. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And is always the case, Roxy, with the aces across the country, whether it be in college or in Major League Baseball. You got to get them early. And when you get an opportunity early, you got to get them. You got to take advantage of these opportunities. First and second and no outs doesn't happen very often when this lefty's on the mound. 3rd
in the Pac-12 this year in strikeouts, Bubic. And a 2.73 ERA. 2 on, nobody out. Here in the bottom of the first. 2-2. Cardenas sends one out of play.
You see the score up at the top right of the corner. Auburn kind of taking care of business today against Army.
Helps when you have the potential #1 overall draft pick in the field. Or in the upcoming draft, which will start on Monday with Casey Mize pitching for Auburn against Army. As Army stunned NC State yesterday.
They sure did.
2-2 the count. LaForte at second, Berryhill at first. Towards short, Horner. Fields, shovels, Brenton onto first. Safe. Cardenas just beat it.
Yeah, Cardenas is a big man, Roxy, but we talked about it. He can absolutely run, and you get a good glimpse of it right there. Well, a lot going on right there, Rox. It's a jam shot, so everybody's got to freeze. You saw LaForte at second. Watch LaForte. He's got to freeze just a little bit. And then you see Nico to Brenton and Cardenas flying down that line.
Runners at the corners for Cal State Fullerton. And there's one out, and the cleanup batter, Daniel Cope, comes up. 5 homers, so almost half the home run production for the Titans from Cope.
Correct, and he's driven him the most runs this year for the Titans. So as far as who you want up in a situation like this, first and third and one out, this is the man.
0 for 4 yesterday. Runners at the corners. Bubic trying to wiggle out of it. And time is called. There is David Esker, the Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Is Stanford winning the Pac-12 crown in Esker's first year at his alma mater after 18 seasons across the Bay over at Cal. Took the Golden Bears to the College World Series in 2011 and was National Coach of the Year, succeeding his mentor, Mark Marquis. Cope, fly ball, left field. This will be deep enough to get the run in. And a sac fly. Stowers makes the catch. LaForte comes home. Cal State Fullerton manufactures a first-inning run.
You're right, Roxy. They did manufacture. And again, we're talked about it. LaForte and Berryhill understand what their job is, and they got 2 singles to start the game. And then Cardenas beats out a double play ball, and then the guy that's driven in the most runs this year for the Titans does his job and hits the fly ball deep enough to get LaForte cross home plate. Take a look at LaForte. I bet you used to run like that, Ross. Didn't you?
No, I wasn't that fast.
You were really hesitating there.
I wanted to give myself some credit, but then I realized I'd be lying. Zahid Valenzuela, the batter for Cal State Fullerton. Shortstop from Yuma, Arizona. Second team All Big West, 270 hitter.
Well, he's starting to swing the bat. He started the year very, very slow. Last year, you may remember, he had to fill in for Timmy Richards. As a freshman, did a great job, hit over 300. He's got a nice little beard going, doesn't he?
Yeah, it snuck up on me. I didn't notice that yesterday. Looks like it's dyed a little bit also.
I was going to say, he's too young to have a gray beard, but it looks like it's a little silver or something. What we got going on?
A little bleach to it?
Well, the Titans have done this in the postseason. They have dyed their hair orange in the past. Didn't they do it when you had them at Louisville? When Thomas Eshelman was there?
2015. 1-1 on Valenzuela.
It makes him look like he's 55 playing baseball, right? One of these guys that just snuck in.
Cute foul. So you got some bleach over there, Gorkin.
Yeah, the key is who's in charge of this stuff, because you know it's somebody with the team. I mean, these guys are not just going to separate barbershops around here.
You think they're even going to barbershops?
No, they're dropping to somebody's room. They're dropping an anchor somewhere, and somebody's going in there. They're going down to...
You think it's Hookie?
Oh, no. Not a chance in the world is Hookie putting his hands in any of those chemicals. No way.
One, two. Breaking ball stays high from Bubic.
Not a bad time for Cardenas at first to take off, Rox. Just go on first move. Worst thing that happens, who's leading off? Zahid.
Runner at first, 2 down. Cal State Fullerton with a run, a sac fly from Daniel Cope. His team leading 41st RBI. Two. Valenzuela bounces it foul. Over toward Neil Walton coaching at first base. Chad Baum over on the third base side. Long-time Cal State Fullerton assistant.
12 years been coaching with the Titans.
That's a long time.
It is. Why does it seem like a long time with me and you already? Just tonight.
Just tonight? Bubic ready. And again, the 2-2. And Valenzuela down on strikes. Titans get a run, though, in the first. Daniel Cope with a sac fly. It's Cal State Fullerton after one, up 1-0 on the Pac-12 champion, the Stanford Cardinal, the number 2 national seed. You every game on the road to Omaha, starting with regional coverage on ESPN2, ESPNU, Longhorn Network, SEC Network, and ESPN3. Whip around coverage also available through ESPN3 and the Bases Loaded channel. All coverage is available on the ESPN app. Kyle Stowers leads off the second for Stanford, flares one to left, and this one is a foul ball over near the Titans bullpen.
I tell you what, Roxy, last night and already tonight, Stanford's hitters have been very, very anxious on pitch one. They had a lot of first pitch outs last night. Doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do to swing at the first pitch. But if you're going to swing at a first pitch, the last thing you want to do is hit a pop-up. If you're going to swing at the first pitch, hit it hard somewhere.
Kyle Stowers, 297 with 10 homers. Skies it in the infield, foul ground. And the catcher, Cope, juggles it and he hangs on.
Rox, I was about ready to say textbook fundamentals, right? And then he got to juggle. But although, I tell you what, I give him actually credit. It's textbook fundamentally. Watch him. He goes over. You see the mask go away. Here he's got it.
Oop.
Just for a
I got it.
Is that a travel? Can you travel? Can you travel in baseball?
Well, with the NBA, there's no such thing as a travel. So
thank you.
Will Matheson, the DH, 296 with 7 home runs. He took over as the DH for Stanford back on May 1st and has come through in a big way. Ever since David Esker inserted him in as the DH, all 7 of his home runs, and like Tim Tawa from Westland, Oregon, they were high school teammates. 0 for 4 yesterday, but Matheson coming up with some huge hits down the stretch, helping the Cardinal to the conference crown.
Yeah, in some heroic fashion. Did it in the bottom of the 9th up in Washington, the last game of the season, right?
Top of the 9th.
Or, excuse me, top of the 9th.
When you're on the road, you hit on the top of the inning.
Well, by the way, and you can travel in baseball, just so you know.
Well, that's true, because Stanford is the visiting team here at home tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
3-0 on Matheson. And they were teammates in multiple sports in Westland. But Matheson, in the top of the 9th, Stanford was in danger of getting swept by Washington. And if the Huskies had won that finale and swept Stanford a week ago was last Saturday in Seattle, because the Pac-12 ended their season last Saturday. Strike to Matheson. Washington would have won the automatic bid in the Pac-12, and they would have tied, but because the Huskies had the tiebreaker, they would have been recognized as the automatic qualifier for the Pac-12. So it was a 5-3 lead for Washington. Joe Demere's trying to finish it off for the Huskies. 3-1. This is launched high into the air in the infield. Said Valenzuela, the shortstop, coming over near third base. We had to wait for it to come down. Two-way.
Borgogna's over there saying, "Can I play too?"
Is that Kelly Leak? But this is the 4th most played matchup in the history of the NCAA tournament. Florida State, 3rd. ASU and Cal State Fullerton, 2nd. And the most played is Florida and Miami. But so Matheson against Joe Demere's in the 9th with a runner on, homer to tie the game as Brandon Wolf takes a strike. And then later in that 9th inning, Nico Horner with an infield hit brought in what would be the winning run. And Stanford was able to survive and win 6-5 as Jack Little struck out the side in the bottom of the 9th. And Stanford won that game and won the Pac-12 outright. Into the air, center field. Coming in, Mitchell Berryhill. And 3 outs in the air as Tommy Wilson has retired the last 6 since hitting a batter to start his nights. We go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. The Titans won. The Cardinal, nothing. The Red Sox, 2 teams appear to be headed to the postseason again.
You think?
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb.
Very good, Rox.
6, 7, and 8 for Cal State Fullerton in the second against Chris Bubich. And a strike to Jake Pavlidich, first baseman, followed by Chris Prescott and Jairus Richards. Second team all Big West for Pavlidich. 284, batter 1 for 4 against Baylor yesterday in their win. Strike called, 0-2 on the Titans' first baseman. Oh-2 on the way. And chasing a pitch, it gets away from Malfetta. And in a strikeout, Pavlidich reaches first base on a wild pitch.
It is. It's a great changeup on the outside part. And we saw this last night. Malfetta, now granted, he's not the starter, but he had some trouble with, you may remember last night, Roxy, with Little.
In the seventh inning last night.
In the seventh inning.
And a couple of wild pitches.
We'll take a look at it right now. It's a changeup on the outside part, and quite frankly, he just drops it.
So runner at first. It is the second strikeout for Bubich, but could make a case that that was a pass ball. Because it didn't bounce, and Malfetta hit off his glove.
No, that's a pass ball. I mean, you have to expect at this level that your catcher can catch that ball.
Here's Chris Prescott, the DH, who's been banged up all season. He's back in lineup here in the regional.
That's an understatement, to say the least.
It's been three different, well, among many ailments, but the three ones that we've known about.
He broke his hand, and then he came back, rehabbed, said, "I'm ready to go, coach." Got a base hit, dove back to first, dislocated his shoulder. Rehabbed that. "I'm ready to go, coach." Gets back in the batter's box, gets plunked in his foot, and breaks his foot.
.278 for Prescott with a couple of home runs. As the DH from Anaheim went to Orange Coast College before Cal State Fullerton. Sac fly in the first from Daniel Cope. Cal State Fullerton looking to add to their lead. 1-1. And on the hands over near the on-deck circle, luckily for Jairus Richards, who was paying attention. That was headed right toward him on deck.
Well, it's such a great thing that that's not a wooden bat. Because if it was, it would have been snapped in half, and all he would have had was the handle. That ball was a good 6-7 inches inside.
Bubich, who last season for Stanford, he was the ace of the staff. He was their number one starter, their Friday night guy. With Tristan Beck out last season with injury. And then this year, with Beck coming back to the Stanford rotation, Bubich moved to the Saturday, technically the number 2 spot, but really a nice luxury for Thomas Eager, the Stanford pitching coach, and head coach David Esker, that they have a 1A and a 1B between Beck on Fridays and Bubich on Saturdays.
Well, I will say this. If you're going to start at Stanford in your first year, inherit this program right now. I mean,
Mark Marquis left the cupboard full for his pupil.
Take nothing away from David Esker because he's a very good college baseball coach.
Strike called. Prescott caught looking. Third strikeout for Bubich, one away. Pavlidich at first for Jairus Richards.
Right on the outside part of the plate. Home plate umpire Damian Beal said, "You know what? That is strike 3."
Richards, a .257 batter, 12 driven in. So Jairus Richards, a junior from Gig Harbor, Washington, a transfer from Cabrillo Junior College. 1 for 3 with a run against Baylor. Strike call. When you think about Mark was 41 years here at Stanford. Won a couple of national championships, including when he had David Esker as a starting shortstop back in 1987. The first of those back-to-back titles for Stanford.
I can actually remember when John Elway was an outfielder for him. Of course, as a kid, right? I watched John play.
And then also for Mark Marquis, another one of his former players on that championship team, has a team in this field. Gonzaga, Mark Macdoff, the head coach at Gonzaga. He was a two-sport athlete here at Stanford. He played football and he played baseball for the Cardinals.
And boy, has he done a great job with the Zags. Top 10 pitching staff this year.
They lost to UCLA yesterday. So an elimination game for Gonzaga today as Richards fouls it back. And Gonzaga, earlier today in that game in Minneapolis, took care of Canisius 8-2 as the Zags had 17 hits. So Gonzaga still alive in that Minneapolis regional, and right now UCLA leading Minnesota in the 6th 2-1. And the Pac-12 to this point is still unbeaten in this tournament.
Well, you know what they call the Pac-12, don't they? Conference of what, Rox?
The Conference of Champions.
Okay. Spelled with a C, right?
Oregon State beating up on LSU right now up in Corvallis. And Washington earlier today in the winners bracket at the Conway, South Carolina regional. The Huskies beat Coastal Carolina,
and why
the
is
home
that,
team.
And why is that important as we're sitting here? Well, that regional
just missed.
Excuse me, Rox, but that regional is matched up with ours. Mm-hmm. So the winner of this regional will hook up with the winner of the Conway regional. And
just last weekend, Washington beat Stanford 2 out of 3 in Seattle. So potentially we could get a rematch of that series here next weekend as Stanford the number 2 national seed. But we still got a long way to go in both regionals. Full count on Richards. Pavlidich at first, and Richards fights it off.
There's a team that just left the yard. Stevie Rodriguez runs. Baylor. And they're saying, hey, Roxy, you know what? What do they say? Pump the brakes?
Tap the brakes?
Couldn't you just agree with me? Pump the brakes?
That would be too easy. Just to agree with you.
Right? It would be. Just once. That regional in Minnesota, UCLA, and the Zags, top 10 pitching staffs in the country. All 3 of them.
Swing and a miss, and Richards a strikeout victim. That's 4 for Chris Bubich. 2 outs with Pavlidich at first, and Brett Borgonio coming up for the Titans.
Well, it's just a fastball on the outside part, well located.
Brett Borgonio, a .248 batter, was driven in 20. He came through big against Baylor for Cal State Fullerton, a 2-run double early in that game and giving Cal State Fullerton the lead in the second inning.
Got a glimpse of Thomas Eager, Stanford's pitching coach. First year, formerly at Cal. Prior to that,
Cal, came across the bay with David Esker and was at Cal Poly before that. So he knows Rick Vanderhook and Cal State Fullerton baseball very well. Called strike to Borgonio.
Doesn't everybody know everybody if you're in college baseball in California for the most part?
Pretty much.
How about those signs? You got to like that, huh?
And he's trying to hide. You see him trying to hide in the corner because he knows Fullerton could probably steal him.
Anybody getting dizzy? Now, last night, Roxy, there was a pineapple in that dugout.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to Thomas initially, and then it started to float around the dugout as the game was getting later to extra innings. I don't see the pineapple.
And it brought them luck last night. Right now, the pineapple is not visible in the Stanford dugout for now.
Although I'm going to hold the story, but I got a lot of information about pineapples and how important they are other than eating them. I'm just going to hold it.
But I do like to eat them.
Well, not a shocker.
1-2 on Borgonio.
Well, you really like what Bubic is doing now, Roxy, and you can see why he's been so successful this year is his command in the strike zone. Very rarely have you seen this left-hander throw a ball right down the middle. He's either been on the inside part of the plate or on the outside part of the plate.
1-2. Bubic. The pitch. There's a foul at the plate. That one looked like it caught a piece of Christian Malfetta.
It did. You just wonder how deep Stanford is as far as catchers go. Because they can ill afford to lose another catcher.
They're already without Maverick Hanley, as Malfetta now doing the bulk of the work in the absence of Hanley. 1-2 the count on Brett Borgonio. Jake Pavlidich at first base. Bubic ready. Blowing outside, 2-2. So Bubic has a chance here to get 4 strikeouts in this inning. With the strikeout, but the ball got away from Malfetta, which allowed the leadoff batter Pavlidich to reach. Then he fanned Prescott looking, swinging on Richards. And that's in the dirt, running on the pitch, and an easy steal for Jake Pavlidich.
Well, it really was. Jake goes on first move, Roxy, and of course with the breaking ball being thrown, very easily for him to get down to second base.
5th steal for Pavlidich.
You see he goes on first move, taking a look back.
I got speed. That's what he's saying when I got to second base.
I thought you were trying to tell me
they didn't
you
even
got
make a
speed.
throw on me. 3-2. Foul ball.
This is what Fullerton will do to you.
They'll wear you out.
They just will
Bubic already over 40 pitches.
piece together runs. Doesn't matter how they do it. Again, we're talking about a 2-out, 2-strike stolen base, and now a dunker gets a second run across the board.
Fouled straight back, and this is the 9-hitter, Borgonio, giving Bubic a battle.
We had a big hit yesterday, in yesterday's game, the big double to left center against Baylor.
Full count with 2 outs. Rick Vanderhooks tightens up 1-0 in this winner's bracket game, the 9th pitch of the at-bat. Four strikeouts for Chris Bubic in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
It's the greatest game in the world, Roxy. 4 strikeouts in an inning. We're heading to the top of the 3rd.
1-0 Cal State Fullerton leading Stanford, the Stanford Regional. A beautiful night here in the Bay Area. Those of you on ESPNU just joining us, welcome to Sunken Diamond. And a full house in this winner's bracket matchup between the number 2 national seed Stanford and the Cal State Fullerton Titans. The Big West champs, the Titans, up 1-0 on the Pac-12 champion Cardinal. Along with Wes Clements and our ESPN crew, Roxy Burnson with you. Bo Brenton out toward right center field. Ruben Cardenas, the right fielder for Cal State Fullerton, puts it away. That's rather Christian Malfetta on the fly out. And there's one gone. Alec Wilson, the center fielder, the 9-hitter for Stanford. With one out here in the top of the 3rd is a strikeout in every out that Wilson has recorded since that strikeout of Tim Towle, which was his first out of the night. Tommy Wilson has gotten that out in the air.
Well, I tell you what, one thing I think David Esker is doing right now, he's just going to talk to Wilson right now just to keep Wilson on the mound out there. I mean, Stanford has been so aggressive on pitch one in the first 2 games. It's just like, hey, hold on a second. Let's just slow this stuff down.
Fastball strike from Wilson.
Because and the other part is he's just trying to get Bubic some more time in between innings. If Stanford's just going to go up there and swing at pitch one.
Line foul by Wilson, or by Alec Wilson from Tommy Wilson. And Tommy Wilson is a fly ball pitcher. And this ballpark is tailor-made for Wilson because this is a yard. Yes, you can hit it out from the corner to about the power alley, but this is a yard where fly balls go to die.
No, the fly balls are death here. And we are in the regional, the death?
The group of death.
The group of death?
This is the group of death regional.
That's your nickname.
Well, because
all the experts
pretty much unanimously thought of as the toughest regional in the country.
D1 baseball, Kendall Rogers, Aaron Fitt. They all said toughest regional is right here in Palo Alto.
1-2. Alec Wilson takes ball 2 from Tommy Wilson.
To give you an idea, Roxy, last night, Stanford 20 of 38 outs were in the air. Tonight, already 6 of 7. 6 of 7. But again, it's something as a hitter, and you got to go up to the plate with a mindset that literally I want to try to hit a line drive somewhere. But again, we're in an era where all you hear and everything that's being told to you, Roxy, is what?
Launch angle.
Get the ball up in the air.
Hit the up with the uppercut.
The ball up in the air.
2-2 on the way. Alec Wilson strikes out, the second for Tommy Wilson.
For the life of me, I'll never understand why you have a round bat and a round ball, but yet you want to try to hit it up in the air. I will tell you, if you can keep your bat plane, the longer you keep it level through the hitting zone, the more success you're going to have.
Here's Bo Branton with 2 outs. Cardinals' second baseman was hit by a pitch to lead off the ball game, the only base runner so far for Stanford. Foul ball off the bat of Branton. And Branton, graduating already, has a job lined up with Disney as an industrial engineer. But I asked him about it on Thursday. I'm like, you're hitting 370. Do you want to maybe continue playing baseball? And he was kind of hesitant. He's like, yeah, but it's such a good opportunity, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if somebody's going to pay him to keep playing baseball, I think it's possible he could get swayed that direction.
Well, most likely he's going to have to answer that question.
And pretty soon. Branton in the air. Right field. Ruben Cardenas. He's got it. 3 up, 3 down. Tommy Wilson's retired 9 straight since the leadoff batter reached. Top of the order for the Titans. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. 1-0 Cal State Fullerton.
It's Columbus Crew SC versus New York Red Bulls on ESPN.
1-0 lead on Stanford. Bottom of the 3rd is the Titans are the designated home team in this matchup at Stanford's ballpark. Game 4 of the Stanford Regional. Along with Wes Clements, Roxy Bernstein with you. Top of the order, and Hank Lafort takes a strike. He singled and scored in the first inning, extending his hitting streak to 18 games, and now a 40-game on-base streak for Lafort. And another note on Lafort. He has now reached base in his first at-bat in 8 straight games.
That's amazing. I think the streak, obviously, is a tremendous streak, but 8 straight games, first at-bat?
Chris Bubic with 5 strikeouts already, including 4 in the bottom of the 2nd.
And he went to the same, what would it be, a beautician to get the hair dyed? Would you just, why do you give me that look?
You honestly think that's where he went?
What do you do at a beautician?
Grounded to short. Nico Horner scoops it up. 1 out. Well,
what can happen?
Do you think he went to somebody, or do you think that his teammates
Can you
did?
get your hair dyed at a beautician?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all. Yeah, how do you know that it's just getting round up in a car and they all went to a beautician?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
Well, look, you got the
right.
You got the blonde.
You got
the red.
It's all there.
You got the red.
Well, Jace Chamberlain in there. That's natural. That's the blonde. That's natural.
Okay.
Right? 50.
All right.
He's blonde. He just looks like the sides cut.
No
No?
way. No way.
You're not going for it?
No way is that his hair color.
Mitchell Berryhill takes ball 1 from Chris Bubich. Berryhill singled in the first. Look at that stash, by the way.
Wow, how about that stash? You little Raleigh fingers there?
Shades of Daniel Mangden right there.
Runes is loving it. You know Mike Rooney's loving all this.
Strike to Berryhill. Look at that. Little turn up with a mustache.
And I have some actual information, official information, when it
Yes.
comes to dyeing hair.
It's been a while since you probably dyed your hair. 1-1.
You were just waiting for that, weren't you?
Shots fired.
Jeez, it is early. We're only at the bottom 3. But if you bleach your hair, depending on the color of your original hair, the color that comes out is going to vary.
There's a grounder left side. Backhanded Horner. Long throw to first. And Nico Horner guns him out.
Well, and that's exactly why Nico is going to be a first-round draft pick this year in the upcoming draft. He knows Berryhill can run. This ball,
a strong arm.
Well, watch this. He knows who's at the plate, and all shortstops do, and all infielders. They have a clock in their head, and he knows right when he catches this ball, he's going to have to catch and throw. Watch, catch, throw. You're not impressed by me knowing about bleaching the hair? Not at all? Just admit it. You are. You won't even give me any credit whatsoever.
Ruben Cardenas takes a breaking ball low. Fielder's choice for Cardenas, hustling to keep that first inning alive for Cal State Fullerton.
I told you the story that I did. I bleached I did that. I permed my hair in high school.
You told me that story.
Yeah. And my mom, God rest her soul, she always just said, that's why you lost your hair, for no other reason.
Swing and a miss by Cardenas. Do you think Oregon State's trying to take out a little aggression on LSU tonight, considering it was LSU that ended their season in Omaha last year? LSU's on the board now. It's 10-1 Oregon State in the 4th, behind Luke Heimlich.
Boy, I tell you what, I don't think anybody liked me saying beautician, Roxy. Hairstylist. I mean, phone's blowing up.
What are they saying? What do you know about beauty?
No. They're, well, yeah, I know. I understand.
Here comes
that.
the 2-1.
I have a face for radio is what the normal thing is.
Zach Taylor, Adley Rutschman have each driven in 3 for Oregon State. Kyle Novak's driven in a pair. He homered yesterday in that Corvallis Regional. (3-1) to Cardenas. Swing and a miss. Bubich looking for a clean inning here.
See Vandy taking care of Clemson. Rematch in last year's regional. Texas took care of Texas A&M.
There's ball 4 as Bubich missed in the dirt, and a 2-out base runner, the first walk issued by Chris Bubich. And that'll get Daniel Cope to the plate. It was Cope's sac fly in the first, driving in the game's only run.
And this is where the Titans have been dangerous, Roxy, here in this regional. They have done a lot of damage with 2 outs.
For more coverage of the Division I baseball regionals and interactive brackets, go to ncaa.com. Got it up on my computer now. One of the things I got going over here to keep up to date with all the scores. So Daniel Cope, the batter. So this, as we've talked about, the fourth most played matchup in NCAA tournament history. And this is the 11th different postseason that Stanford and Cal State Fullerton have hooked up. And they've all come since 1988.
I think what's most impressive, Roxy, about Cal State Fullerton, obviously they had the 4 national championships. This is the 27th straight year they played in the postseason. But I think even more impressive, take a look at Rick Vanderhook, is for 43 straight years, the Titans have won 30 games. 43 straight years.
18 trips to Omaha, 4 national championships.
It's just amazing.
And since 1988, this is the second most played matchup in the postseason, behind Miami and Florida.
Not to be confused with Miami, Florida.
It's Miami of Florida and Florida. Not to be confused with Miami of Ohio.
Well, okay, go ahead. Are you trying to...
No, I'm just
like
clarifying
who's on first
it.
right now?
No, I'm just trying to clarify it. Because there is Miami of Ohio.
Yes.
And the Miami Hurricanes from Miami, Florida. And Miami of Ohio is from Oxford, Ohio.
I've been to Oxford.
Ohio?
I was just waiting.
Well, there's a few Oxford. There's Oxford, Mississippi. Two and two on Daniel Cope, because there's an Oxford regional in this tournament.
Yes, there is.
And that's in Mississippi.
That would be in Mississippi.
Correct.
MS.
Nearly got away. Nice play by Dashbach over at first base.
It really was a great play by Dashbach. And we talked about that in the first game. The toughest throw that a first baseman will ever receive is from a pitcher, whether it be a comebacker, a pickoff, a bunt.
And Dashbach almost in a catcher's crouch over there briefly.
Well, I actually like that, and I will teach that. If you're at first base, for me, you do need to get down. Not only on when you're holding somebody on, but when you're receiving a throw. The lower you are, the deeper you can extend to catch a ball and stretch. The lower you are to the ground, better chance you have to pick a ball.
Two. Foul ball again from Cope as they're driving the pitch count from Bubic up. He's over 60 pitches. And we're in the bottom of the third. Keep in mind, Stanford played 13 innings last night.
They did.
And they started Tristan Beck, who worked 6 1/3 last night. They burned their closer. And I'd be shocked if we saw Jack Little in this game tonight, considering he went 3 1/3 last night.
I would be flabbergasted if he came into this game.
Jacob Palish went 2 1/3 last night. And then Brendan Beck, Tristan's younger brother, came in and got the win. They've picked off Cardenas. Got him in a rundown. Andrew Dashbach to Bo Branton. Nico Horner, this is the shortstop. Everybody getting into the act. And it's finally the pitcher, Bubic, who gets him.
Seven throws.
But they got him.
They did.
All right, we'll try to figure it out during the inning break here. Bubic puts up a 0. We go to the fourth, 1-0 Titans. The Big West champs up 1-0 on the number 2 national seed, Pac-12 champion Stanford Cardinal. Winners bracket game number 4, the Stanford Regional. NCAA Regionals presented by Capital One. And this bracket is matched up with the Conway, South Carolina bracket, where Washington, the Huskies out of the Pac-12, the 3 seed, are in the driver's seat of the Conway Regional.
Well, they really are, and either UConn or Coastal is going to have to ultimately beat Washington a couple times.
So Lindsey Meggs' club in a great spot there, winning their first 2. Top of the 4th inning, Tim Towa, Nico Horner, Andrew Dashbach, 2, 3, and 4 for Stanford.
And if you're wondering, that last rundown that we saw the previous inning, it's not going to be used for a training video on rundowns.
But the result is what they wanted. It just took a lot longer than they would probably like.
Yeah, way much longer. I mean, a rundown ordinarily should take no more than 2 to 3 throws at the most.
That rundown went 1, 3, 6, 3, 4, 6, 3, 1.
And the spike,
Got it?
And the spike by Bobich.
Towa hits it way into the air, but foul. Had a play. Strikeout for Towa in the first against Tommy Wilson. If you were now with us at the top of the show, I'm going to repeat my favorite nugget of information I've ever given during a broadcast.
Go ahead.
Tommy Wilson's dad is Thomas F. Wilson, the actor who played the antagonist, Biff Tannen, in Back to the Future. There he is.
He's not very quiet when he watches a game.
No, he's not. But Biff or Thomas F. Wilson, whatever you want to know him as, very clearly very proud of his son, very animated, and a huge fan of Titan baseball. Towa, high chop to third. Brett Borgonio across the diamond, 1 out. 10 in a row retired by Tommy Wilson. You got my homework finished, McFly?
No.
I'm just dropping Biff Tannen lines.
No, I know. But you threw me off initially.
When Tommy Wilson got his first strikeout tonight?
Yeah, 3 innings ago, and you brought it up, and now I was trying to concentrate. And then
Nico Horner strike 1.
And then I got distracted, and now we're going to find out just how his dad reacts.
He's pumped. That's right. That's right, McFly.
He looks like he's left-handed. I think he's probably saying something about McFly.
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Okay.
That's what he's saying.
Why are you pointing at me like that?
Can you take a hand?
Well,
I'm just bored because I can't beat up on Bill Walton, so I got to beat up on you right now.
Did you just put me in the same sentence with Mr. Bill?
I did. Well, I work basketball. Dave Pash and I work hoops with Bill. And
right.
I work baseball with you. So,
okay.
Yeah. You're the analyst I get to work with in baseball. He's one of the analysts I get to work in basketball. So, yeah.
Okay. You think Bill's watching?
Conference of Champions. Let's go. Ground or foul.
I think if he knew that the Conference of Champions was on, the baseball team, anywhere, he would be watching, wouldn't he?
I think he's going back and forth right now between our game and watching Oregon State beat up on LSU.
Oregon State doing well?
10-1. Is that well? 1-2 and Horner. Grounder foul. Right past Tommy Nicholson coaching at third for the Cardinal.
The one thing that I saw with Nico during batting practice a couple days ago is that he was hitting the ball up the middle, hitting it the other way, short swing, but last night's game and so far tonight, it just looks like he's turned it up a big-time notch to where he's pole conscious. And you can get in this mode as a hitter, and it just takes a couple swings to where you're over swinging and you're pulling off the ball. And a lot of times it takes something like a hit and run, or you hit a ball to the right side that'll just lock you right back in.
He hit one to the wall in the first inning. Deep fly out to left. 2-2.
There is nothing better than a line drive. A line drive will never be replaced.
Two and two, here it comes. Liner to left, hit well by Horner. It is off the wall. Richards plays the carom. And sliding into second, Nico Horner just missed a home run. He crushes a double off the wall in left field, his 17th double.
Well, you are correct, Roxy. He does not miss this pitch. And he got on top of the ball much better than he had in previous at-bats. And for me, this is a line drive, and it's a line drive right off the wall. 8th pitch of the at-bat, and right there.
Did he just go Karate Kid on us?
Well, he did something. I don't know what it was.
So we've got Back to the Future working, Karate Kid.
Oh boy, we got another movie that I'm going to get confused with. Yes, I've seen Karate Kid.
That looked like the Cobra Kai move.
I have a hard time remembering your name, and you want me to remember a movie.
I'm not. I'm very used to my broadcast partner forgetting my name, just so you know.
Yeah, but I actually have never forgotten your name. Bill.
You'd probably like to.
Well, Bill, listen.
Andrew Dashbach, the batter. It's Dave, right?
That's right. Now, the one thing that Nico will do when he's on the bases, because Nico can run. Nico Horner, who's at second base right now, and if I was Cal State Fullerton, something like an inside move, just to remind Nico that we are fully aware that you could take off for third right now.
So the first hit for Stanford, Horner at second base, that ended the run for Tommy Wilson of 10 straight that he set down. Just missed off the outside, and Dashbach. And hitters count now. And you cannot make a mistake to this guy.
No, you cannot. He hit a ball last night, Roxy. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's just a line drive that hit the dirt at shortstop, right?
And it went all the way to the wall.
It did.
You want to talk about a bullet? Throw to second by Wilson. And Dashbach, an interesting story, played sparingly last year as a freshman, really emerging here as a sophomore, the opportunity to play every day. And he was a tremendous high school football player at Sacred Heart Prep just up the way.
That's surprising the way he looks. He played football?
His dad, Mark, a Stanford grad. He has both Cal and Stanford roots in his family, by the way. 2-0 on Dashbach. So Mark Marcus is recruiting Andrew to come to Stanford, but he was concerned with Andrew playing football because he was afraid that he'd get hurt and could potentially derail his baseball career. And he was very concerned. He'd check up on Mark all the time, or on Andrew all the time. And there was one night where Andrew was playing a game for Sacred Heart Prep, the fall of his senior year, and Marcus didn't want Andrew to know that he was checking up on him and watching. Mm-hmm. So one night, Mark Marquis literally went and was hiding outside, like in the bushes at Sacred Heart Prep, just to check up on Andrew to make sure he didn't hurt himself playing football.
What?
Yeah.
Hiding in the bushes?
He was. He was hiding watching the football game. Didn't want anybody to know he was there.
Well, he's fortunate he wasn't arrested. Oh, that's what
2-2.
That's what you call a hanging breaking ball, folks.
You know, because Sacred Heart Prep's just 10 minutes up the road, just down El Camino from Stanford, maybe on his way home. Just wanted to check up on him, make sure he was all right. It's not that Mark didn't want to pay to go in. I'm sure that was not the problem. He didn't want anybody to know that he was checking up on him concerned.
I gotcha. How about send somebody else?
But that's the way Mark Marcus was. That's the way he ran his program. He was heavily involved in everything.
No, he was a good one.
41 years. And now David Esker taking over for his mentor. And we were here Thursday, and we talked with David for a while after practice, but he's like, I got to go.
Yeah.
Because he had to go meet Marcus for dinner.
Uh-huh.
Two very close. In fact, David Esker is the one Mark Marcus wanted when he stepped aside to succeed him. And it's resulted in a conference championship here in his first year. Swing and a miss. Dashbach down on strikes.
Well, and that's that perfect area that pitchers will want to keep throwing somebody, a big right-handed hitter, up and underneath his hands so he can't get extended. And watch the location. And this is why Wilson has been successful this year, is locating his fastball, and you're going to see this. It's right up underneath his hands right there, and you can't get extended.
So 2 outs. ESPN Networks brings you every game on the road to Omaha, starting with regional coverage on ESPN2. ESPNU, Longhorn Network, SEC Network, and ESPN3. With Brown coverage also available through ESPN3 and Bases Loaded. All coverage available on the ESPN app. Pop, foul, and drop by Pavlidich over near the Stanford dugout. Pavlidich had a play on it. Over near the Stanford dugout, and the first baseman could not hang on.
Well, he had to go a long ways. I mean, there's a lot of foul ground right here. But he'll tell you, he'll be the first to tell you that I'm supposed to catch that. And somebody's.
Tristan Beck picked it up.
Is that who picked it up?
Yeah. Stowers a foul out his first time up, and it's 1-1 with Horner out there at second base.
Was he celebrating that he dropped the ball, Pavlich dropped the ball, or that he actually got a ball, like a foul ball?
I think you can interpret it how you want it. 1-1 the count. A 1-out double. Horner still at second base. That's Tommy Wilson trying to work out of this. Swing and a miss by Stowers. A good off speed.
Really good changeup right there. Really good changeup. Now, Wilson hasn't thrown that very often so far through 4 innings, and watch this. And watch the rotation. You see that? And Roxy, more and more pitchers we're seeing a changeup from the right-handers that have an action of a screwball.
One-two. Swing and a miss. Tommy Wilson. Dad's fired up. Let's go. Four strikeouts for Tommy Wilson. Horner stranded at second base. Make like a tree and get out of here. On to the last of the 4th inning. Daniel Cope leads it off for Cal State Fullerton. A 1-0 lead for the Titans. It was Cope's sac fly in the first inning driving in the game's lone run. Middle third of the order for Cal State Fullerton here. Cope followed by Sahid Valenzuela, then Jake Pavlidich against Chris Bubich. 1-strike pitch. It was Cope was at the plate when we had that elongated rundown to end the bottom of the third.
Is that what you'd call it?
What would you call it?
A horrible executed rundown that ended up with an out.
But it worked.
Correct.
It could have been worse for Stanford. Cope skies this one in back of second. Nico Horner, the Stanford shortstop, is there, and there's one out.
Well, you actually could use it as a training video. You
Of
could,
what not
of
to
how
do.
not to do something. Now, granted, they got the out.
And again, it went 1, 3, 6, 3, 4, 6, 1.
But since you're bringing up movies tonight, Bad News Bears comes to mind. Although they wouldn't have got the out in Bad News Bears.
It depends on what part of the movie.
Well, they might have.
If it was the championship game against the Yankees, then maybe. Zahid Valenzuela takes a breaking ball high. He struck out in the first inning.
The fact that you remember that like that is fascinating to me, because I would have no chance to bring you back to one scene in Bad News Bears.
You strike me as a Buttermaker kind of manager back in the minor leagues.
Oh, boy. You want to tell me? Go ahead and explain why.
No.
Explain why. Because, I mean, if I knew what Buttermaker was. And
that was Walter Matthau's character.
Okay, I understand, but I'm just trying to sell you. I can't. I just got through telling you I couldn't tell you one scene.
1-1 pitch down low.
So go ahead and tell me the tendencies of Buttermaker. Why am I similar to him? And stop laughing when you're telling me.
He got the team that was at the bottom of the barrel, all the misfits that nobody wanted on their team, and he got them to band together, and he brought them to nearly a championship by the end.
So you were actually trying to give me a compliment.
And you can't even accept it.
Well, I am now.
3-1 the count on Valenzuela.
Thanks, John.
Yes, this is what happens when we've been here all day. It's game 4. 3-1 pitch to Valenzuela. Turning on it, and he sends one deep down the left field side toward foul ground, and Kyle Stowers watches it sail into the bullpen.
And when a ball is lifted to left field, we don't take our eyes off it.
We've seen some bizarre stuff in left field this entire weekend so far. So far, the Pac-12 unbeaten. On day 2, they are 5-0. Washington 2-0. Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, all in action right now. And all those teams are 1-0.
How about the SEC has played 15 games already?
Well, they've got 10 teams
Correct.
in the field.
I understand. 13-2. Very,
UCLA
very solid.
and Minnesota tied 2-2 in the 8th in Minneapolis in a winner's bracket game there. Valenzuela lines it to right, coming in, Brandon Wolf. 2 outs. And then Oregon State up in Corvallis in a winner's bracket game in the Corvallis Regional where the Beavers are the number 3 national seed. And they lead LSU 10-1 in the 6th.
That's exactly what Bubic needs. He needs a quick inning, Roxy.
He's already at 72 pitches and only in the 4th.
Right. He's already at 72. But this are things that, when you talk about Pavlicek right now, I mean, the thing about Vanderhoek's players, they're very well educated and in the game, and you wouldn't put it past me to have somebody say, you know what, go up there and take a couple pitches, make him work a little bit. And it's not just Hookie's dugout. I mean, a lot of dugouts are going to be telling their players the same, but it just Hookie's teams are so fundamentally sound in all areas.
You know, they pitch it so well, and they field it extremely well. And that's been the story, not just for this year as Rick Vanderhoek, the coach of the year in the Big West this year, but that's been, even before Rick Vanderhoek was the coach, what the foundation of Cal State Fullerton baseball was about. Whether it's Vanderhoek, whether it's George Horton, whether it's the late Augie Garrido, Dave Serrano, whoever you want to talk about, that's what they were about.
Well, just like that, we have a 3-1 count.
3-1 on Pavlitic. Bubic the pitch. Inside corner, Pavlitic was getting ready to throw the bat away. And a full count now on the Cal State Fullerton first baseman.
Well, it's on the inside part. There's no question about it. Could have been called a ball, sure. Damian Beal behind the dish said nope.
Down the right field side, pushing foul off the bat of Pavlitic. But again, with 2 strikes, Titans are going into protection mode. They're fighting off pitches. They're running the pitch count up for Bubic.
Well, 6 pitch at bat right now.
Again, the 3-2. There's a grounder just wide of the bag.
He might have swung at ball 4 right there, Rox. Two great programs, huh? What a
Multiple
treat.
national championships on both sides.
What a treat. Beautiful night here. Chamber of Commerce again tonight. And it's not just me and my opinion. You can go on a website and it'll tell you exactly what I just said.
Again, the 3-2. Fouled back. Bubic brought 91 that time. And has to be a concern for Stanford pitching coach Thomas Eager and head coach David Esker. The pitch count with Bubic, and considering they played 13 innings to finally get the win last night over Wright State.
Well, he's already at 80 pitches, and we're not even through 4.
And that one hit him. And Pavlitic will go down to first as Bubic ran it in.
That's going to hurt. That looks like it got him right on the elbow. And this is going to hurt worse the closer he gets to first base. Although he does have that elbow pad. That's the sound you heard. It gets him right on that elbow pad.
The athletic trainer comes out to take a look at Pavlitic and a 2-out base runner. And Thomas Eager, the Stanford pitching coach, a trip to the mound. And take a listen to this.
That was loud, Rox.
No activity yet in the Stanford bullpen. 81 pitches. And Bubic struggling to get through this 4th inning here. And Thomas Eager, the Stanford pitching coach, in a long conversation with the junior lefty.
Roxy, what do you think of MLB having a limit of trips you can make? You like that?
I do like it. It's sped up the game. I do like it. As plate umpire Damian Beal going to break up the meeting, gives us a chance to remind you that after the thrilling Game 1 overtime, the NBA Finals, Game 2 coming your way tomorrow on ABC. Our coverage starts NBA Countdown at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific from right across the bay at Oracle. The Warriors and Cavaliers, streaming live on the ESPN app.
You guys have a basketball team up here?
Believe it or not, yeah.
Okay.
There's actually 2 in Northern California.
All right. Thank you.
Warriors up 1-0 after winning Game 1 in overtime.
You have a hockey team up here, too.
Yeah. Yep, they got uniforms and everything.
Are they still playing?
No.
Yeah.
Chris Prescott, the batter, struck out in the second, 2 down. Pavlitic, the runner at first. Bubic, the pitch, and that's up and in, and turning out of the way was Prescott.
Well, you got some Titan fans booing right now. But there's no chance that Bubic is trying to knock anybody down. I mean, he's just lost his command. He got 2 quick outs, Rocks, of this inning, and then he went 3-0 on Pavlitic. Ended up hitting him, and here we are.
There's a strike from Bubic.
You can see how he took a little bit off just to get a strike. But you got to be careful here, Rox. If you're worried about your command as a pitcher, you're not going to be very successful. You just got to trust it and let it go. You start aiming fastballs to get them over the plate, and they end up on the other side of the fence.
Chased a high fastball. Ball and 2 strikes to count with 2 away. Bottom of the 4th inning. The winner of this game will come back tomorrow night and play. The loser has to come back in an elimination game tomorrow against Baylor. Bubic rears back and blows the fastball by him to retire the side. Bubic has 6 strikeouts. A 1-0 lead, though, for Cal State Fullerton as we go to the 5th as Bubic trying to battle against this pesky Titan team. Stanford, we go to the 5th inning along with Wes Clements. Roxy Bernstein joined by Rick Vanderhook from the Titans dugout. Coach, appreciate the time. Tommy Wilson seems pretty sharp. What do you see from your right-hander?
Yeah, he's throwing strikes, locating the fastball pretty good, mixing in a little change slider. There was one in the dirt that bit him, but he's doing a solid job for us right now.
Well, Hookie, talk about your second baseman, Hank LaFord. I mean, it seems like once he turned it on, I mean, you guys took off.
Yeah, it helps when he's getting on base all the time. When you get the leadoff hitter on, you get a lot easier chance to score, and that's how we got there tonight. And Mitchell followed with a base hit. Rubens hard 90 stopped a double play, and then Kopi got a sac fly. But I'd sure like a few more runs up there.
1-0 lead for the Titans here in this winner's bracket game. And we go back to the game yesterday. It was a great pitcher's duel. Colton Eastman was terrific for you. How big of a lift were those late runs to really create some separation for you yesterday?
Well, they give you a little room for error. Right now there's no room for error in this game. I mean, we haven't got a hit since the second hitter of the game. We've gotten a few guys on, and we're just not doing it too early in the inning. We need to get done a little earlier in the inning.
Well, Hookie, we talked to Colton Eastman after the game yesterday, and he flat out told us, we didn't want to be the first team that didn't get to the postseason, and that was part of their motivation.
Oh, that should be. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been since before all of them were born.
27 years.
So, yeah.
Do you ever take a step back and just think about what this program has accomplished, whether it's under you or your predecessors?
That's nice. Foul ball.
Well, play-by-play.
Go ahead.
We get it.
Yeah, I do once in a while, not very often. When we weren't playing very well early in the year, we still had control of our own destiny, even though we didn't play well in the preseason. And then once the Big West came along, we started playing better baseball. And, as you said, Hank's getting on base a lot, and that's helped it. And everybody else kind of picked up off him. He might be the littlest guy in the field, but he's got the biggest shoes on it.
Well, you've done it different this year. We've talked about this, Hookie. You don't have the J.D. Davises and Matt Chapmans in your lineup this year, and you've been forced to do it a different way. I mean, yesterday you bunted with a 1-run lead with 1 out and a runner at first base. You bunted him to second base, and voila, right after that you score 3 runs.
Well, Henry was on deck, and right now he's the best hitter we got, so I figured I'd get a guy in scoring position. If he got a knock, he got it. He actually hit one in Jarris Richards' triangle that he put a voodoo on.
Skied in the infield. Valenzuela at short coming in, so was the third baseman, and Borgonio puts it away. And there's 1 out. So we're seeing all your kids, Hookie, bleach their hair blonde. Any chance you're doing that?
There is no chance. Mine's already gray, and that's the only color it's going to stay until it all falls out.
All right, Hookie, talk about the glasses because, I mean, you are styling. I mean, you pulled those out recently. I mean, you guys you've won a lot of games. What is it? A coincidence? What's going on with those?
Well, I can actually see. So when I want to yell at somebody, I can actually see and know why I want to yell.
All right, Hookie, appreciate the time. Thanks.
Uh-oh. Nope. All right, thanks, fellas.
Rick Vanderhook, Big West Coach of the Year, fly out to right. Nothing to be concerned with. And there's 2 away as Tommy Wilson has been sharp tonight for Cal State Fullerton.
He really has. Again, are you surprised that there's another Titan on the mound that has been effective in the postseason? Very, very efficient. We're talking about Bubic on the other side, already into the 80s. And Wilson's getting ready to go through 5 below 70.
Christian Malfetta shows bunt. It's a strike to the 8-hitter for the Cardinal. Just 3 hits in this game. The only hit for Stanford, a double in the 4th by Nico Horner. And for the Titans, their 2 hits came in the first inning. Back-to-back singles to lead off the game from Hank Lafort and Mitch Berryhill. Foul ball for Malfetta. Oh, 0-2 the count on Malfetta here. Top of the 5th inning. Cal State Fullerton beat Stanford twice in the postseason here last year and won the Stanford Regional. Cardinal got a little bit of redemption by sweeping the Titans to open this season right here.
They did. Well, Colton Eastman, we talked to him yesterday. What did he say?
He basically said, we're the team that nobody wants to see.
Yeah.
They're hot. They're a hot group considering the start they got off to this year. Malfetta called strike 3. 3 up, 3 down. Go the Cardinal against Wilson here in the 5th inning. We go to the bottom of the 5th, 8-9-1 coming up for Cal State Fullerton as Tommy Wilson cruising for the Titans. Titans are up 1-0 on the Cardinals. We go to the bottom of the 5th along with Wes Clements, Roxy Bernstein with you. Joined by the Pac-12 Coach of the Year and the coach of the Pac-12 champion Stanford Cardinal, David Esker from the Stanford dugout, who is the visiting skipper in his home ballpark. But, David, it's been a struggle for Chris Bubic tonight. He's only given up 1 run, but it seems like he's struggling to find his release point. What are you noticing with Chris Bubic tonight?
Just laboring, right? He's just laboring through the innings. He's getting through them, but it's not been clean and easy. And, 2 strikes, they're fouling off a bunch of pitches and running his pitch count up a little bit here. So, that's just been a tough go.
Well, David, let me ask you about your hitters. Last night, a lot of fly ball outs, and again tonight. I mean, is this something that you'll talk about in between innings and say, hey, let's try to keep the ball in the air and hit some ball on the line?
Yeah, I think we need to lower our launch angle.
David, don't give me go. You did do that on purpose, didn't you?
With a lot of exit velocity.
There you go.
Oh, God.
There's a high launch angle.
Out towards center, racing in is Alec Wilson. Going out, Nico Horner, and the shortstop makes the catch.
But we're joking about it. But Wilson has got good command of his fastball up in the zone, and it looks like he's intentionally trying to throw the ball up there. And as a hitter, if you're not aware of that and you're not trying to get on top of it, you're going to keep hitting it up in the air.
I think in the new age now, they'd probably say he's probably got pretty good spin rate up in that zone. It's hard to get on top of the ball, right? And that's what you got to do. We got to make some adjustments here, and it's that's going to be the name of the game. Whether we're going to make an adjustment, and we get an opportunity when our guys and the guys in the middle order get a chance to hit, they've got to come through. Sometimes you say you get in these playoff situations, your dude's got to get hit off their dude, right? I mean, it just has to happen, and you got to have a performance and a come through.
How concerned, David, are you about your pitching depth, considering you had to go 13 innings before you picked up the win here last night as Tim Tawa knocks it down and makes the play? Nicely done by your third baseman, but how concerned are you about your pitching depth?
Well, it probably takes Jack Little out of today, right? He went 50 pitches yesterday, and so it affects you, and what you really need is a good pitching performance by your starter to kind of get you into the game. Obviously a little concerned about Chris's pitch count going into the 5th inning here. But we're going to have some guy come through, and we've got some guys in the pen. Matheson hasn't thrown yet, and Brendan Beck is still available, and Zach Gretsch, who's led the team in appearances. So we've got some pitching available, but we got to score. We got to give our pitching a little breather where they're not pitching on the edge, every inning.
Well, talk about your left-hander. Is it a number that you have set prior to the game that you're going to let him go, or is it what you see out there?
A little bit what we see. We've done a pretty good job of managing his pitch count throughout the whole year. We've never let him run into the 120s, and you get later on the season, if he's feeling good and the weather's hot and it's not, he's not throwing a lot of stress pitches with the breaking ball and it's fastball change mostly, he may be able to run a little bit, but he's got to be effective and stay in the zone.
Thanks, Eske. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you.
David Esker, the head coach of the Cardinal. 1-0 ball game here in the 5th. And we do have some activity in the Stanford bullpen. Nobody throwing off a mound just yet, just some arms getting loose and Ks.
Stirring, that's not the right word, is it?
That's an upgrade from stirring.
It is.
Yeah. 1-2. Hank Lafort takes called strike 3. 7 strikeouts for Chris Bubich. And it's still a 1-0 game. Through 5 in this winner's bracket game at the Stanford Regional. The Titans and the Cardinal head to the 6th. Arms getting loose and Ks.
Stirring, that's not the right
that's
word,
an
is
upgrade
it?
from stirring.
It is.
Yeah. 1-2. Hank Lafort takes called strike 3. 7 strikeouts for Chris Bubich. And it's still a 1-0 game. Through 5 in this winner's bracket game at the Stanford Regional. The Titans and the Cardinal head to the 6th. Your week with Get Up, Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Jalen Rose live from Oakland with his take on Game 2 between the Warriors and the Cavs. Plus Richard Jefferson and Jay Williams break down the game. Michelle Beadle, behind-the-scenes finals video blog. Get Up, Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. 9-1-2 for the Cardinal in the 6th. Alec Wilson leads it off against Tommy Wilson.
You say Richard Jefferson, Arizona.
Yeah.
You hang with a lot of Arizona dudes, Rox. You know that.
And some of them leave me, like Miles Simon left to go back into coaching.
Okay. I'm still here.
Corey Williams, as well, an ESPN college basketball analyst.
JT Snow.
He's doing the Corvallis Regional with Anish Shroff.
Scotty Erickson.
2-0 the count on Wilson, leading off the 6th. He struck out in the 3rd inning. Stanford has only 1 hit through 5 against Wilson. It's Tommy Wilson, 6-0 and a 2.82 ERA. He has been sharp tonight. Strike. And it seems that he has a little funkiness with his delivery, which could be throwing Stanford off a little bit.
I know what you're talking about. But as a hitter, normally, the only thing you're worried about is a release point. But keep in mind, one of the top closers in college baseball, Brett Conine, didn't even throw yesterday, Rox.
So he's more than available for the Titans, should he be needed. 2-2 to Wilson. And that's hit out toward right center field. A long run for Berryhill. This one is all the way and off the wall. Deep right center, and Alec Wilson nearly hit it out. Second hit for Stanford, leadoff double to start the 6th.
Well, it's a second line drive off the wall. Earlier, Horner hit it off the left field wall, and this ball is smoked, Rox, to one of the deepest parts of the yard here. And it just hits the middle of the wall, and a big-time leadoff double for Mr. Wilson.
And that is a shot, because you rarely here at Sunken Diamond see balls like that
right
to that part of the ballpark. Runner at second, nobody out. Bo Branton 0 for 1, hit by a pitch in the 1st.
Let's see what Stanford does here. Now, you may recall, if you watched last night's game, Branton had trouble 3 straight times of getting a sacrifice bunt down. He's going to bunt right now. He needs to bunt it to Borgonia at third base.
He's up on the grass. Pavlidich up at first base as well, as he's not showing bunt, and Branton takes a strike.
But again, listen, if you're David Esker, you're trying to win a game, and I'd rather try to win a game than try to tie a game in the top of the 6th. You're at the top of the lineup. Hitters hitting over 360.
Reaching for it on the breaking ball, and it's 0-2 on Branton.
Well, obviously right now you want to put the ball in play, but if you put it in play, obviously you'd like to try to hit it to the right side of the diamond to move Wilson over to third with one out.
On deck, Tim Tawa, as we're at the top of the Stanford order. Tommy Wilson giving up a leadoff double to Alec Wilson of Stanford. Branton, leaping, Hank LaFord at second base takes a hit away and a run away from the Cardinal.
Well, I tell you what a great job first by Branton. This ball is in, Roxy. You could tell Branton is trying to hit it to the right side. And not only does he hit it to the right side, he hits it hard. And then look at LaFort. It's the NBA playoffs. He's saying, you know what, Spud Webb, forget him. I can leap.
LaFort could not have timed that any better.
No, it's perfect.
And the frustration from Branton. He knew he hit it well, just sometimes you got to tip your cap, and Hank LaFort just robbed him of a hit. That was a tremendous defensive play, as LaFort has scored the only run of this game. One down, Wilson still at second, and here is Tim Tawa, a strikeout and a ground out. Top of the sixth inning. Just missed from Wilson. This will be pitch number 80 for Tommy Wilson. He's made 7 relief appearances this year and making his 12th start here tonight. Good breaking ball.
Through last night and tonight, Stanford offense, 18 innings, Roxy. Just 3 runs. Now keep in mind, Stanford had number 2 pitching staff in the entire country.
But this is a potent offense. One.
Well,
2-1 now in Tawa.
Excuse me, Roxy. They hit 282 as a club, but they hit 54 home runs.
Two and 1 the count on Tawa. Here's the pitch. Line drive, right center. This will tie the game. Skips past the right fielder, Cardenas. Around second, Tawa racing for third. It gets away from Valenzuela. A triple, and Tim Tawa ties the game for Stanford.
Just a great job of hitting, Roxy. This is a fastball right down the middle, and Tawa just doesn't miss it, finds the right center gap, and of course he can run. Well, let's see what happens in right center. There's Cardenas, and he ends up throwing the ball in, Roxy, but the speed of Tawa, as you see Wilson, a little bit excited right there.
Third triple for Tawa. RBI number 41, and it's a 1-1 ball game in the 6th as Stanford has finally broken through. And the emergence of the pineapple in the Stanford dugout here.
The pineapple.
There it is, Nick Orr. He's got it. Steve Rousey, the pitching coach for Cal State Fullerton, a trip to the Hill. No activity yet in the Titans bullpen. But an RBI triple from Tawa drives in Alec Wilson, who doubled to lead off the frame, and we're tied here in the 6th inning. And Nico Horner, the 3-hitter for Stanford, due up.
Well, I have one definition of the pineapple, but
okay.
And it has nothing to do. The last thing you think of pineapple would show up.
Wait, we got more than one now in the dugout.
There's multiples.
Okay.
But the pineapple is recognized as a traditional expression of welcome throughout the South and in all areas along the eastern seaboard.
But it's also, when you think of the pineapple, to me it's synonymous with Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, yes, of course you do. But you're eating them.
But they're also harvested, grown over in the islands.
Yeah, but we asked them last night. Post-game, they didn't even know why it's in there.
We got to go to the Hawaiian on the roster. We got to ask Bo Branton. That's who we got to talk to. Nico Horner takes ball one. He doubled off the wall in left in the fourth. He's 1 for 2. 1-1 ball game. Tao with a runner at third after the RBI triple. And his speed was on display as he could be the fastest guy on this Stanford team. Strike called.
Now, if you're Wilson right now, what you want to try to do is either get the punch out or induce Nico to hook a ball over to Borgonio at third base.
Would you play the infield in here?
No, not right now. Not on the top of the sixth.
Fullerton's not. Just missed from Tommy Wilson.
Well, you see Tommy's expression right there. He wanted that pitch. He threw it exactly where he wanted to throw it. Just Nico wasn't biting. And David Esker has told us, in a situation like this, he's got the right hitter up. This is who he wants up.
To third. At the bag. Out at third base is Tawa trying to get back. Tremendous play by Brett Borgonio.
And he got what he wanted. He threw a slider on the outside part. Nico out in front, so he hooked it over to Borgonio. But how about the play he makes, Roxy, to get Tawa at third? Watch it. Breaking ball on the outside part. He hooks it. Has the wherewithal to know that Tawa's off the bag. And there you go.
Terrific play by Borgonio.
Just a tremendous play. Third base umpire Jason Kaminsky rings him up.
And in good position to see that and the right call. And Tawa out at third.
And just like that, though, Roxy, 2 outs, a great time for Nico to take off. After a big play like that.
Cleanup batter Andrew Dashbach up for the Cardinals. A throw over to first. Horner has 14 stolen bases. Been thrown out 4 times. And that one hits Dashbach. Stanford has 2 on. Horner to second. 2 on, 2 out, and Kyle Stowers, the left fielder, coming up.
Just a fastball. Got away from him.
Second batter that Tommy Wilson has hit tonight.
I'm looking down the bullpen. There's no stirring going on, Rox. Or is there?
There's some throwing. Yeah, there is activity in the Cal State Fullerton pen. Tanner Bybee is up. He is the righty. And Timothy Jostin, the lefty. For Cal State Fullerton. Critical spot here with the sophomore Stowers at the plate.
Great change up there. Super. Bottom just falls out. But you have the left-handed Stowers on deck, Rock. So, Stowers at the plate right now.
The 6th inning has been the big inning for the Cardinal this season. Outscoring their opposition now with the run here, 47-14. Stowers a foul ball. 0-2.
Stowers last night a little bit tardy on the fastball. tonight, much of the same.
Two on, two out. Stowers lays off. It's ball one.
Well, he wanted to, and I tell you what, when you see a hitter react like that to a pitch that's well out of the zone, up, there's no reason to do anything else other than go right back up there. See if he's going to bite.
Stanford's had a few base running miscues here so far in this regional, including Tawa there at third base here in this sixth inning. 2-2 on Stowers. Go back to last night, the 13-inning ball game, which they outlasted Wright State. Tawa was thrown out of the base pass in the third inning. Plus, in the fifth inning at second base, he was thrown out.
Well, he's got him set up now for that changeup. He's thrown him two fastballs up and out of the zone. And now he goes back up there again.
So full count with two down, which means that Horner will be off on the pitch from second, Dashbach from first.
Well, you see Cope right there, the catcher of the Titans, going out and telling his infielders, 3-2, runners on the move, so any kind of ground ball, you're going to first base.
So Tommy Wilson, who breezed through the first 5 innings. Difficulty here in the sixth.
Excuse me, Rock, but this is a situation right now where they're not afraid, speaking of the Fullerton staff, to call a changeup on a 3-2 count.
Got it with the changeup. Gets the strikeout. 6 for Tommy Wilson. Stanford gets a run to tie the game. We go to the bottom of the sixth. Dad's pumped, and the Titans are coming to bat. Tied at 1 as we go to the bottom of the sixth. 2, 3, and 4 for Cal State Fullerton in this winner's bracket game. NCAA Regional Baseball presented by Capital One. Look at the Corvallis Regional. It's still going on. And a lopsided affair tonight in the winner's bracket as Oregon State is hammering LSU. 14-1, the Beavers lead it. And I'm going out on a limb saying that LSU will be in the loser's bracket game tomorrow.
Go ahead.
They'll play Northwestern State.
Who took care of San Diego State today.
Earlier today. And they'll have to come back and beat Oregon State twice to win that regional. So the Beavers trying to put themselves in the driver's seat there. Mitch Berryhill 1 for 2. And it's 2-0 facing Chris Bubich.
Well, those are situations, Roxy, where Paul Maneri, the head coach at LSU, I mean, if you have a position player that you can throw tonight when a game's out of hand, I mean, you need pitching.
And they're going to have to win 3 more games. And it's 3-0. Bubich in danger of walking the leadoff guy, Mitchell Berryhill, here.
Well, it's an understatement. It's the last thing you want to do after you tie the game up and the first hitter you go 3-0.
This will be the 100th pitch of the night for Bubich. And there's a strike. No, it's ball 4.
What?
Looked pretty good from Bubich.
Oh.
And a 4-pitch walk in the catcher Malfetta going out to the mound.
Well,
so the 3 seeds in regionals, which Cal State Fullerton is, the last 3 years only twice has that 3 seed won and advanced. And you want to go back previous to the last 3 years. David Esker, when he was over at Cal in 2011, took that team, which was a 3 seed, to Omaha in the College World Series.
I find that the most fascinating year of Cal baseball because you may remember that was a year when people were asking, are they going to have a team the following year?
They were going to get cut. And Esker was the coach. Ruben Cardenas takes a strike. And the most amazing quality about David Esker and the remarkable thing about that whole process, he wasn't worried about himself at all.
Mm-hmm.
He was worried about, okay, if there is no team next year, what happens to my players?
Right. Where am I going to help them go to?
He wasn't worried about him. He was worried about them. And then everything got taken care of through a lot of hard work, and they kept the program.
Well, if you spend any time around David, you can understand why. He's just a tremendous person.
But a lot of people would have been, well gee, what's going to happen next?
Right.
What am I going to do? And that was the furthest thing for David Esker. He wasn't worried about himself at all. There's a strike, 1-1. And oddly enough, he compares his shortstop now, Nico Horner here at Stanford, to the shortstop he had on that 2011 California team who's now playing in the big leagues with the Oakland A's, Marcus Semien. Says they're very similar. And right now, Horner's not putting up the power numbers, but he does expect that to come in the future for Nico Horner.
Well, Semien, I saw it today, Rox. He's going up the record books on the most games played at shortstop for Oakland.
Pop foul back at a play. And, you know, this matchup right here tonight, this is a huge matchup in the Oakland A's clubhouse because you have two Cal State Fullerton Titans on that A's club.
Matt Chapman
and Chris Davis. And you have two Stanford Cardinal in that A's clubhouse with Stephen Piscotty and Jed Lowry. Swing and a miss. Bubic ties him up and gets his 8th strikeout.
I couldn't have said it better, Rox. You hit it right on the nose. This is exactly what it looks like when a hitter gets tied up. It's right underneath his hands. Got a little tail on it, a little run.
So one gone. That'll bring up the cleanup batter, Daniel Cope, who's driven in the Titans' run back in the first. On a sac fly that brought in Hank Lafort. Mitch Berryhill, the runner at first base. Bubic is not allowed a hit since that first inning.
I got some information for you, some little trivia for you, Rox.
Okay.
Regarding the Titans. You know what the mascot's name is? You know, for the life of me, and folks, I got to tell you exactly what he did. I do my homework, so I write it down. And for the life of me, he turns right to try to cheat and look at my paper. Unbelievable.
I know it's an elephant.
Well, it's Tuffy the Titan, who happens to be an elephant.
Okay.
My goodness. Unbelievable. You can't even play a game right without cheating.
You play to win the game, to quote the new football coach at Arizona State and our former colleague here at ESPN, Herm Edwards. Bubic again to first. There is activity in the Stanford bullpen. Zach Gretsch getting loose. Sidewinder. So Bubic up over 100 pitches. David Esker hoping he can get through this inning. And he's still got some zip on the fastball.
Well, I tell you what, right now, every pitcher knows when they're about time to come out of a game. They know what their coaching staff and how they're talking and how they're moving, how the bullpen's moving. And right now, Bubic, as you mentioned, Rox, seems to be rearing back right now and saying, you know what, I'm just fine.
Just missed.
I got to tell you, Bubic has been squeezed, in my opinion, on a couple pitches. Damian Beal is the home plate umpire, and I mean, you got to give these credits. It's a tough job for umpires. They've done a great job in this whole series, but for whatever reason, it seems like in this inning, Damian is not giving any corners to Bubic.
Foul ball by Cope, back to the screen. This is a Cal State Fullerton team, and we talked about it with Rick Vanderhook a little while ago. They got off to a really slow start this year. They lost their first 4 games to open up the season, including 3 right here, their first 3 games of the season, to Stanford. Then dropped to midweek affair in Nevada, were 0-4. before they won the opening game against Houston in a 3-game series. In extra innings down in Fullerton. Runner goes, curveball, strike 3 call, throw to second base. That one clipped Branton. It's short hop second base, and Branton got hit, it appeared, with that ball that skipped from Malfetta. It is a stolen base for Berryhill as Cope caught looking.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it was beneath the neck, because it looked like it was right close to his Adams act. Let's see. Where's it get him? To get him in the face?
Here's another look.
Got him right in, it looks like the right chin? Just below it?
So Branton getting attended to by the athletic trainer for the Cardinal. And they're making sure he's okay. May have gotten him in the cheek. And there's a smile from Branton, which is good to see.
But now you have the concussion protocol all across NCAA, and rightly so. And that's what's going on right now.
David Esker showing some concern as well for his senior second baseman. Here's one more look at what happened to Bo Branton on this throw down to second.
Right cheek, just below the eye. We've seen some weird hops on this field. We saw some earlier today, all day.
I mean, it was a really hot day, especially for the Bay Area today here. And this surface, and you talked about it throughout the first game here between Baylor and Wright State, that it was acting like it was AstroTurf. The ball was just taking huge hops, especially out in front of home plate. And you wonder if that played into it there with the harder surface than they're used to here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't get a look if it hit the dirt or not, if it hit the grass. But make no mistake, the dirt in front of home plate is hard as a rock.
Runner at second for Saheed Valenzuela with 2 down. Berryhill the runner, Bubic the pitch, and a breaking ball that's low.
And this is exactly the situation where the Titans have been deadly. 2 outs and a runner in scoring position.
Valenzuela 0 for 2 tonight. But just to finish the thought on Cal State Fullerton, so they opened the season with 4 straight losses, beat Houston the opening game, and then lost the next 3, 2 to Houston, 1 to UCLA. They were 1-7. And this team recovered to win after the win last night, 33 games and hoping for more. At the knees and a called strike. It turned for Fullerton when they went to Tulane and won 2 of 3. Then they went toe-to-toe with Oregon State up in Corvallis, but lost 2 of 3 to the Beavers. They made a run through the Big West. They were 18-6, capturing the conference championship. And these are 2 conferences, the Pac-12 and the Big West, that do not have postseason tournaments and conference tournaments. 2-1 on Valenzuela.
But they do play a lot of midweek games.
That's the thing. When you're in Southern California like Fullerton, they play USC. They get to play UCLA midweek, Pepperdine. They get some challenging non-conference games. Even had a midweek series at Arizona State.
They did. They won that series.
San Diego's another team where Stanford was perfect in their midweek, 9-0 this year. 45-10 overall. On the ground, left side and through. Valenzuela with a hit. Charging into Stowers. Around third. Here comes Berryhill. Throw to the plate. Out at the plate. Stowers guns down. Berryhill trying to score from second base.
Just some great baseball going on here in Palo Alto. This is exactly what we want to see. You get the big clutch base hit. Here's the base hit from Saheed Valenzuela, just like he did last year. And here's the great throw from Stowers to nail him. Berryhill out at the plate, Roxy.
Huge lift for the Cardinal as Stowers guns down Berryhill, trying to give Cal State Fullerton the lead. We're still tied as we head to the 7th, the Stanford Regional Winners Bracket. The ESPN Networks brings you every game on the road to Omaha, starting with regional coverage on ESPN2, ESPNU, Longhorn Network, SEC Network, and ESPN3. Whip-around coverage also available through ESPN3 and the Bases Loaded channel. All coverage is also available on the ESPN app. So download that now if you don't have it. And if you don't have it, what's wrong with you? New pitcher for Cal State Fullerton as we go to the 7th. And they turn to their closer, Brett Canine.
Well, it tells you how important Hookie thinks this game is. And it is.
And he brings him in a tie game in the 7th inning.
Well, he can go multiple innings. What you're going to see is not a mystery. He's got a power arm. He's got a power breaking pitch. Fastball anywhere from 91 to 96. The one thing that Conine has struggled with this year, Hookie told us, it's his location of his fastball in the strike zone. Velocity's still there, but Hookie says he's missing too much up in the zone.
Will Matheson leads off the 7th for Stanford as Canine misses down low. As Brett Canine, even though he wears number 18, no relation to Jeff Conine, who played at UCLA, was known as Mr. Marlin in the major leagues. But this is Brett Canine, 6'4", 220 right-hander, and a fly ball to right. Routine for Ruben Cardenas. And there's one away. Will Matheson now 0 for 3. As Canine is a junior from Orange, right near Cal State Fullerton. 6 terrific innings from Tommy Wilson tonight.
Oh, it was tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Exactly what Rick Vanderhook wanted from him. Now listen, if you ask Rick Vanderhook, all right, I'm going to give you a tie game in the 7th inning, and you're going to be able to bring in Brett Canine, he's going to say, I'll take it right now.
Here's Brandon Wolf. 0 for 2, a couple of flyouts, and he takes ball 1 from Canine. 7th inning, winner's bracket game. So the closer comes in a tie game for Cal State Fullerton. David Esker alluding that he probably doesn't have his closer, Jack Little, tonight after throwing over 3 innings last night.
No, we kind of surmised that last night once Jack kept going deeper and deeper.
(2-0) pitch, and it's 3-0 on Brandon Wolf. Wolf, who missed about a month and a half with a foot injury this year, came back for the final couple of weekends of conference play. (3-0) pitch. There's a strike. 3-1. And in case you were wondering about, Jeff Conine does have a son that is playing in the NCAA tournament. It's just not Brett Canine. Because Griffin Conine plays at Duke. A liner from Wolf. This one bounces to the wall. Brandon Wolf digging for 2. 4th hit for Stanford. They've all been for extra bases.
Well, this is a great adjustment from a hitter in the batter's box. Watch this. He tries to get on top of this ball, and this is what's going to happen. You're out there watching baseball, and you're young, and you want to be a good hitter. Forget trying to hit the ball up in the air. Try to hit a baseball hard on a line drive, and this is what's going to happen.
So 1 out double. 4th hit for Stanford. The 8-hitter, the catcher, Christian Malfetta, coming up. So Brett Canine trying to wiggle out of this, now giving up that 1 out double.
Got a little offensive meaning there, Rox.
For more coverage of the Division I baseball regionals and interactive brackets, go to NCAA.com. Malfetta 0 for 2, a flyout and a strikeout. 1-1 in the seventh between two programs that have combined for 6 national titles. And meeting in the Stanford Regional for the second consecutive season, and it's the 18th postseason meeting between Stanford and Cal State Fullerton. Nice job by the catcher, Cope.
What a great job by Cope. You hit it right on the nose there, Rox. This is a breaking ball. It's a good 3 feet outside. And Cope gets out and around this. Take a look at Steve Rousey going out to talk to his pitcher. Steve Rousey, first year. Previously at Fresno State.
Also spending time at Big West rival CSUN.
Otherwise known as CSUN.
CSUN. So Malfetta, the batter here, it's 1-0. And so Steve Rousey coming in the middle of the at-bat. What do you think he's going over here?
Well, he probably went up there. He saw the breaking ball. He didn't like how it came out of his hand. He's probably going up there and saying, hey, listen, your stuff is good enough and your fastball is good enough to get Malfetta out. Don't try to outsmart yourself and try to throw something harder or better than what we already know works for you.
One-0 pitch. Malfetta turns out of the way. I mentioned Duke a little while ago.
Yes.
And Griffin Conine, the son of Jeff Conine, who is a Southern California native. Duke had a remarkable comeback today. They were trailing the Fighting Camels of Campbell 8-1. Fastball low. Then Duke responded and beat Campbell 16-8.
Stop it.
Duke, so it was an 8-1 ball game going to the 7th. Duke got 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th at the Athens Regional, hosted by Georgia. Then Duke put up 11 runs in the 9th inning. 19 hits. And Malfetta draws a walk, and Stanford has 2 on. Alec Wilson, who blistered a ball off the wall in right center in the 6th, and has scored the only Stanford run tonight coming up.
Well, I tell you what, normally behind your closer and one of the best you've ever had at your school, you're not going to have anybody heating up, but the Titans bullpen is in a hurry heating up. I mean, Conine was not close to throwing a strike.
Top of the order on deck. Now, Conine did not get in the game yesterday, as for Cal State Fullerton, it was Blake Workman that finished off the ball game, got the save. Worked 2 innings. Ball 1 to Alec Wilson. The last 5 hits for Stanford here in this postseason have all been extra base hits. The 4 tonight, 3 doubles, and a triple tonight. And you go back to the game-winning hit by Christian Robinson in the bottom of the 13th last night. That was a double.
Well, this is 5 straight balls. And if you're thinking you need to put the take on for Wilson, in my book, you don't. If this ball is right down the middle, you take advantage of a pitcher who's trying to throw a ball right down the middle. You got first and second in a tie ball game. If he throws this ball right down the middle, you jump on it.
Strike call to Wilson. It's always an interesting conversation when you talk about a closer coming in in a non-save situation like Conine is coming in here. He has 10 saves on the year, great strikeout to walk ratio, but is laboring here to find his command.
Well, you can go all the way back to last week. He hasn't thrown in a week in a game.
He did warm up last night, or yesterday afternoon in game 1 here at Sunken Diamond, but didn't get in. Good fastball.
Sometimes that's all it will take, just a little wake-up call, because that's what he's used to. Kanine is used to people swinging and missing at his fastball.
Just one other game still going in the tournament. I don't know how much of a game you'd consider it, considering Oregon State is clobbering LSU 14-1 in the 8th inning. UCLA just upended by Minnesota in 10, 3-2, so the first loss for the Pac-12. Alec Wilson chases one in the dirt. He is out on the strikeout, and a wild pitch advances Brandon Wolf to third, Christian Malfetta to second base.
Well, it's just a wicked, nasty slider down and in, but he gets the punch out.
2 gone, second and third, 2 in scoring position for Bo Branton.
Well, watch Cope. I mean, he does all he can to get out there to block it. Unfortunately for him, it hits off his left forearm, but the out's recorded. Stanford now, though, Roxy, with 2 outs, has 2 runners aboard at second and third and a base hit.
And just so you know, Wilson could not take first base on the wild pitch because first base was occupied.
Correct.
Branton 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch, takes a strike. He was robbed of a hit, a tremendous leaping grab by Hank LaFord at second base in the 6th inning. Cal State Fullerton, the only Big West team in the field. It's been a while since the Big West only has one.
It really has.
This is
4 straight years they've had a representative in Omaha.
And 3 different teams. Time is called. As you've seen, obviously, Cal State Fullerton go, and they've been 18 times to the College World Series. But Andrew Checketts taking UCSB.
Mike Gillespie, UC Irvine.
And now the retired.
We'd be remiss
Mike
if we
Gillespie.
didn't mention, yes. Mike Gillespie saying goodbye.
Who also won a national championship at USC. Owen 2 on Branton, the senior from Honolulu. His teammate over there, KJ Harrison. It's a high draft pick by the Brewers last June.
Former Beaver.
Tremendous power hitter for Pat Casey in Oregon State. Branton chased one, and he's down on strikes, and Kanine gets out of it. He strands 2 and gets 2 strikeouts in the inning. Thomas F. Wilson still pumped up, even though his son was lifted. Brett Kanine, a huge strikeout, and a 1-1 ball game. Time to stand and stretch on the farm. 1-1 ball game to the last of the 7th inning at Sunken Diamond. 6, 7, and 8 for Cal State Fullerton. Chris Bubich still on the mound. Strike 1. Pavlidich reached on a strikeout pass ball in the 2nd and a hit by pitch in the 4th. Bubich at 114 pitches now. Way outside.
Well, I'm sure they ran him back out there, and they're just going to watch him pitch by pitch.
Is that a pad on his backside?
A what?
A pad.
Oh, right here? Yes, it's for sliding. If he gets on base, he's going to put it on his hand.
That's what that is. Just wondering if that was in case he gets hit frequently there, he has some extra cushion. You answered my question. Thank you.
Every once in a while, I'll get one right.
1-2 the count on Pavlidich leading off the bottom of the 7th. Hit in the air left field. Kyle Stowers, who had a great defensive play to end the bottom of the 6th inning with a catch to start the bottom of the 7th. As he gunned down Mitch Berryhill on the single by Saheed Valenzuela to end the bottom of the 6th when Stowers threw a strike to the catcher Christian Malfetta, throwing out Berryhill at the plate.
Yeah, I think David Esker, Roxy, is just trying to milk Bubic all the way through Richards, these two left-handed hitters that were coming up right now. And I think once you get down to Borgonio, I think you might see the bullpen in action for Stanford.
There is activity in the pen as Bubic delivers strike 1 to Prescott. The DH has struck out twice tonight. Zach Gretsch up in the bullpen.
Matheson actually is up in the bullpen for Stanford.
The DH. So a couple of right-handers getting loose for the Cardinal. So the 2018 postseason is here. And there's a look at the Stanford pen. That's Gretsch. But a year that ends in 8 is a foul ball from Chris Prescott. It bodes well for the West Coast.
Oh, boy. It does.
It does.
Since what year, though?
Since the beginning of the College World Series. Every year that's ended in an 8.
West Coast team is.
The national champion has been a West Coast team.
And I do know this year is 2018, Rock. I do know that part.
So if you go through the history of the College World Series, the first one was 1947, and that was won by the University of California against Yale that had President George Bush on that Yale team. Swing, and it gets away from Malfetta. Prescott racing down to first, and he beats it. Another base runner that's twice tonight that Cal State Fullerton on a strikeout has reached first base. It happened back with Jake Pavlidich in the 2nd, and this is a strikeout wild pitch. It is the 10th strikeout for Bubic tonight, and Chris Prescott reaches here with 1 out.
It's just a fastball. And you're going to see Prescott get down there to the first to beat out the throw, but Malfetta is frustrated behind the dish. There's no question about it. It's just a fastball, Rocks. It gets a lot of the plate.
So 1 out base runner. And Jairus Richards, the batter, the left fielder for Cal State Fullerton. So it's 10 strikeouts for Bubic, who struck out 4 hitters in the 2nd inning.
It's the greatest game in the world. When you can strike out 4 in 1 inning, what game is better than that?
Well, it's hard to strike out 4 batters in an inning in any other sport other than softball.
Why do you have to ruin it? Can't you just go along with it and say, you're right?
Richards 0 for 2. Bubic missed high, but getting back to the year of the 8.
Yes.
1948. USC won the first of their many national titles. 1958.
This is the test. Here we
I'm
go.
Testing
again.
you again.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
1958.
I'm just going to say USC.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a pretty safe bet to go with USC. 1968. Now you're cheating. Now you're cheating.
Well,
yes, USC.
What did you tell me before?
1978.
This is not going to be USC.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Yeah. 1988.
I got to mix in an Arizona State or something.
Arizona State lost in that title game to Stanford.
Okay.
And Mark Marcus, that was the second of their back-to-back national titles. 1998.
USC?
Yes, that was Mike Gillespie's championship, beating Arizona State. 2008.
Arizona?
No. Fresno State won the
that's
2008 national title. And Mike Batesole, as they beat Georgia for the national championship. That was right after Oregon State won their back-to-back titles. So you go through the 8s. Every year it has been a West Coast team in a year that ends in 8 that has won the national championship. These two teams hoping that they can be the one to extend it. 2-2 on Jairus Richards. And there's only 7 West Coast teams, well, 6 West Coast teams left if you include New Mexico State, because they got eliminated. Bubic off the mound, rifles to first, is stretched by Dashbach. To second goes Prescott 2 away. And you wonder if that's it for Bubic, who's now at 127 pitches, and Brett Borgonio coming up.
Well, you'd like to think that it most likely is. I'm looking at the dugout. This is your last play, a little PFP, but this is the throw for a first baseman. You see Roxy, you see Dashbach standing up. I'd like to see him a little bit lower, because you're not going to get, more times than not, you're not going to get that perfect throw from the pitcher.
It appears that they're going to ride Bubic here through the bottom of the 7th, at least try to get him through this inning. 2 down, the 9-hitter Brett Borgonio, 0 for 2. Chris Prescott at second base, strike 1 from Bubic. But New Mexico State was eliminated today, and San Diego State is knocked out.
Okay, but I'm not counting New Mexico State as a West Coast team.
Well, it is the WAC, but all right. So, but there's 6 West Coast teams left, 4 in the Pac-12, Cal State, Fullerton, and Gonzaga.
Correct.
Out toward right center, a good break on it. Alec Wilson makes the catch. Titans strand a runner. We're 1-1 to the 8th at Sunken Diamond. On to the 8th inning. A 1-1 ball game. Only 7 hits between Stanford and Cal State Fullerton tonight. Second inning for Brett Canine. Tim Towan, Nico Horner, Andrew Dashbach for the Cardinal here.
It's a really good job by Stanford pitcher Chris Bubic, right? 130 pitches, season high, 10 Ks. Second time he's done that to the Titans lineup this year.
Tim Towa, ground ball foul. He tripled home the Stanford run in the 6th. He's 1 for 3. And the way Bubic was going early in this game and laboring to get through innings, if you told me back in the 4th inning that he'd be around to see the 7th and get through the 7th inning, I would have been stunned.
Right. Well, he had 82 in the 4th.
One strike pitch. At the knees on the outside edge, 0-2 on Towa.
What a shocker, right? Last night, knotted up late in the game. Here we are again. Best game in America. The best time of the year for college baseball.
0-2 on Towa. Canine delivers. And Towa chased a breaking ball in the dirt, picked up by Cope. And he completes the strikeout, 1 away. 3rd strikeout for Canine since coming in.
Well, it's a 3rd consecutive one, Roxy, with the same pitch. The slider down and away, and it's a hard one. And you got to trust your catcher. When you have a breaking pitch like this, Fullerton staff obviously trusts Cope behind the dish, and he's done a great job in blocking every one of those.
1 away for Nico Horner, who doubled off the wall and left in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. Left side, tough play. And Valenzuela, no chance to get Horner, who has an infield hit. 5th for Stanford tonight, and the first single for the Cardinal. The first 4 hits have all been doubles for Stanford tonight.
Well, this is what it looks like when a hitter smells the hit. Now, Nico stumbles just a little bit out of the box, but right when it gets past Borgonio, there's no chance to get Nico with his speed. And again, another infield hit, Roxy, with the heart. The dirt, folks, in front of home plate is hard as a rock. And we saw this in the first game today.
You got the high bounce there off that ball driven right into that hard surface out front.
Now, again, it was 98 degrees today.
It was a warm day here in the Bay Area and a very pleasant night, though. One out, Horner at first. There's a look at Bubic in the dugout, who is most likely done for the evening.
Well, he's smiling right now. If you're smiling right now and you're talking to your teammate, you know you're done. Otherwise, they're locked up on the bench and nobody's around them.
But what a job he did to get through 7 innings, considering Stanford played 13 innings here last night. Andrew Dashbach, 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch. Was hit in the 6th inning. Oh and 1.
That is the first single for Stanford since the 12th inning last night. Every other hit that Stanford has had has been an extra base hit.
Driven foul off the bat of Dashbach. That was Alec Wilson who opened up the bottom of the 12th last night with that single. 6 innings from Tommy Wilson. Did a great job for Rick Vanderhook of the Titans, giving up just 1 run on 3 hits. Struck out 6, did not walk a batter. And Brett Canine taking over. After they got a strong outing, 7 yesterday in game 1 of this regional from Colton Eastman. Oh and 2 the count on the cleanup batter, Dashbach.
Now, what we've seen on the previous hitters, 0 and 2, expect a breaking ball down and away. Let's see what happens here.
Pitch out, Horner bluffs and gets back.
Were you going to pitch out 0 and 2? Go ahead and do it again right now. The double pitch out, 1-2 count. You're expecting the breaking ball to be called right now. I mean, if they throw a breaking ball, you're not going to throw Nico out at second. You're just not going to. It's not going to happen.
And there's the breaking ball in the dirt. It gets away from Cope, and it bounces all the way to the first baseman, Pavlidich.
Yeah, you should be getting a stolen base right there, Rox.
He was going on the pitch.
Yeah, he was going on the pitch.
So a steal for Horner, who was running on the pitch. That's his 15th stolen base. And now Stanford has the go-ahead run at second with 1 out.
Well, the Titans in a little bit of a mess here. I mean, you got tremendous speed on second base. You're in a tie game in the top of the 8th. But you got to respect the power of Dashbach at the plate. I will tell you this. Don't put it past Nico taking off for third right now.
2 and 2. Full count on Dashbach. Full count with 1 away. 1-1 game in the 8th. Winner's bracket game. The loser has to come back tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific time and deal with Steve Rodriguez, Baylor Bears, the Big 12 tournament champions.
I'm calling the breaking ball down and away right here.
On the ground, backhanded. Valenzuela has no play. Infield hit for Dashbach. And Stanford has runners to the corners.
I'll tell you what, I mean, Sahid Valenzuela makes a great play here. To get to this ball, Roxy, he just can't get the handle to throw over to Bogonio at third to nail Nico.
And it was the slider.
Right, and watch this, though. He just can't find the handle to get it.
Runners at the corners. One out. Kyle Stowers has struck out twice tonight. He's 0 for 3. There's a lot of things in play for Stanford. We know that Rick Vanderhook is a riverboat gambler.
Yes.
David Esker's got some tricks up his sleeve as well.
I don't think there's anybody better than Mike Gillespie, though.
Tell you, the guy at your alma mater's got some tricks too, Jay Johnson at Arizona.
Yeah, you're right. He does.
Stowers takes ball 1.
Obviously, you want a big part of the game. It's right now. You're looking at it. First and third, the ability for Stowers to put the ball in play somewhere. Preferably, if it's on the ground, find a hole. Otherwise, a sac fly gives Stanford the lead.
Short lead for Dashbach at first. Horner at third. 1-1. So the Titans are playing defensively at double play position here. Third baseman Borgonio is playing up a bit on the edge of the grass, but you see Valenzuela at short, cheating toward the middle. LaForte there has to play straight up at second, considering Stauer is a left-handed batter, and then you have Pavlidich holding on, Dashbach at first. Second base, there's one. Valenzuela double clutches out at first base. David Esker comes racing out of the dugout. Can't believe the call. Close play, and Cal State Fullerton turns the double play.
Well, it's hard to tell. We haven't seen it yet. And, I mean, it was a quick conversation. But Stowers hits it right on the button. LaForte to Saheed. Now he can't find the handle. He gets it over there, and I don't know, Rox. It looks like he's in there.
I thought he was safe.
Let's see. We're going to get a look at it right here. Safe.
Bang, bang play at first base, and the Cardinal come out of the short end of that one. Fullerton turns a double play to get out of it. A 1-1 game to the bottom of the 8th. The 8th, top of the order coming up for Cal State Fullerton, who turned a double play to get out of the top of the inning, and this is awfully close at first base.
I got to tell you, upon further review, they might have got him right now. Ball in glove.
But it's got to be in the back of the mid.
It's got to be in any part of the glove, of the leather. It doesn't have to be in the back of it. Right now, leather. Foot down.
See, it's got to be in the back of the mitt. He's got to be in possession of it.
Well, but Rox, from the umpire's view, he can't tell if it's in the back.
Will Matheson takes over on the mound, the DH for Stanford, who also pitches. 13th appearance, 2-0 and a 1.65 ERA for the lanky right-hander, who gets strike one on Hank LaForte. LaForte followed by Berryhill and then Cardenas. 7 innings from Chris Bubich tonight with 10 strikeouts. 1-1. Running up to bunt, it's ball 2.
Excuse me, right? But I think the most fascinating thing about that double play turn by the Titans is they got the hard hit ground ball by Stowers, and LaForte, his transfer to Saheed Valenzuela was tremendous, but Saheed lost the handle as he was going across the bag.
He double clutched.
They still were able to get him.
Skied foul ground. Dashbach giving chase over near the Stanford bullpen, and he runs out of real estate. Just 3 hits for the Titans tonight and only 1 since the first inning. And that was a single by Valenzuela in the 6th. Two and 2 on Hank LaForte, singled and scored back in the first. 1 for 3 tonight. Will Matheson the pitch. And a full count.
You got to throw a ball right down the middle here, Rocks. The last thing you can afford to do is let LaForte lead off this inning and get on first base. It's just fastball down the middle and hope he hits it somewhere.
Hit in the air to right. Hustling over toward the line is Brandon Wolf. And he puts it away. And there is one gone. So one out here in the last of the eighth. Mitch Berryhill coming up. 1 for 2 with a walk. So Berryhill, the center fielder. But again, Bubic getting through 7 innings, that's huge for Stanford, considering they played 13 last night.
It was gigantic. Just a complete staff saver.
There's a strike. One strike pitch. Good breaking ball for Matheson.
I'll tell you what, Rox, I'm a little bit surprised. Dashbach at first is off the line, and then over at third, Tawa is off the line as well, but Matheson is flipping the breaking ball to the left-hand hitter. Keep flipping breaking ball to a left-hand hitter. He's out in front. He's going to hook it down that first base line. Get a look at it right there.
To short, Nico Horner handles it. 2 gone. That'll leave it up to Ruben Cardenas, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. 3-hitter for the Titans.
If you're wondering who has an opportunity in this Titan lineup to leave the yard, here's the first of 2 in my mind. Get a look at the last line drive. But Cardenas has got some big-time pop to right center. And then Cope on deck has 5 home runs.
Just missed from Matheson. Want to know the count on Cardenas. Will Matheson taking over for Chris Bubic. Foul ball. But Bubic, 130 pitches tonight, season most, giving up just 1 run on 3 hits. Both Bubic and Wilson were terrific tonight. Just missed again from Bubic. Looked like a pretty good breaking ball.
Strike zone's a little bit different tonight. I'll just leave it there. Cardenas played a big part in that lone run the Titans have, beating out the back end of that double play.
That was all the way back in the first. 2-1 pitch. 3-1 now.
Here's where you got to be careful.
There's Chris Bubic, put the jacket on over in the Stanford dugout.
If you're Cardenas, you just got to sell out on a fastball here and hope you get it.
Three-one pitch on the way. Fouled back to the screen.
A little bit tardy on that. So last thing you want to do, you get ahead in the count 3-1. You don't want to be tardy on a fastball.
Full count with 2 down. So Will Matheson, sophomore. The pitch hit on the ground sharply into right field, and Ruben Cardenas with a 2-out single. 4th hit for Cal State Fullerton tonight. The go-ahead run is on for the Titans with the cleanup batter Daniel Cope coming up. ESPN Networks brings you every game on the road to Omaha, starting with regional coverage on ESPN2, ESPNU, Longhorn Network, SEC Network, and ESPN3. Whip-around coverage also available through ESPN3 and the Bases Loaded channel, and all coverage available on the ESPN app. So the second consecutive night, Wes, that we're the last game going.
Why not, though? I mean, I kind of like it, don't you?
You like having the stage to yourself.
No, it's not. No, I like being at a baseball game. That's what I like being.
Sack fly for Cope in the first, driving in the lone run for the Titans. Matheson misses down low.
And if you're wondering if Cardenas can run, we've already seen him beat out a back end of a double play. He leads the Titans in stolen bases with 12. He's a big man, but he can fly.
1-0 the count. Cope with 5 of Cal State Fullerton's 11 home runs this season. Strike called. Ball and a strike on Daniel Cope. Sophomore catcher from San Diego. Cardenas the runner at first, Dashbach holding. Will Matheson brings the 1-1. Cardenas bluffs going as Matheson missed low and in.
Not a bad time to run here, Rocks. He throws the breaking ball and Cardenas takes off. They're not going to throw him out. If he throws the fastball down the middle, Cope's obviously going to put in play somewhere.
The pitch. Backhanded by Malfetta, now 3-1. And Matheson entering some dangerous territory here because you lose him in Cope. You put the go-ahead run in scoring position, and Valenzuela singled his last time. And he's on deck.
Right, Rox. And on this 3-1 count, if the Titans elect to send Cardenas, Cope hits a deep single into the gap. Cardenas has got the speed to score.
There's a grounder foul with Cardenas running. Full count with 2 down.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Titans are really pesky hitters, Roxy. Bubic obviously threw 130 pitches today, but the Titans fouled off 24 pitches.
When have they not had a pesky team at Cal State Fullerton?
What did John Savage tell us last week, head coach at UCLA? It's the last team anybody wants to play in their regional.
And yes, the previous teams have had big boppers like J.D. Davis, Matt Chapman, Michael Lorenzen. This team does not have that, but they still have that mentality at the plate. They just wear you out. Runner goes, skied to right side. Dashbach in foul ground. Dashbach can't handle it as he went tumbling over near that side fence supporting the Stanford bullpen. And Dashbach frustrated that he couldn't hang on to it. And Dashbach charged with an error for dropping that foul pop.
We're going to look at it right here. Yeah, he's camped. There's no question about it. I'm not thrilled about the 2 hands coming up. As a first baseman, for me, you're better off just using 1 hand.
Or using his bare hands, which we've seen him do this year.
We've seen that. We'll just throw the glove off. How's that?
And outside, Matheson loses Cope, and the Titans have 2 on. Cardenas to second. And that'll bring up Saheed Valenzuela, the shortstop for Cal State Fullerton, who is 1 for 3.
And he's already had a single with a runner in scoring position. It just Stowers, the left fielder, threw out Berryhill at the plate.
How do you handle it now defensively in the outfield for Stanford?
You know what? You got to bring your outfield in. Saheed is not somebody that's going to hit balls out of the yard, but Saheed is somebody who's going to put the ball in play. Now, this is the last guy, if you're David Esker, that you want to see in this situation.
Switch hitter turning around about left-handed for the first time tonight. Two on, 2 out. Last of the 8th inning. In a 1-1 ball game, Game 4 of the Stanford Regional, and a winner's bracket contest.
There are some players in baseball that want to be in this position, with the game on the line and an opportunity to drive in a game-winning run, you're looking at one right now.
So the outfield indeed shortening up a little bit. Cardenas runs well at second, Cope at first base. Will Matheson, the 1-0. Hit in the air, foul left side. Tim Tawa has a play on it, and he gets Stanford out of the inning. Cal State Fullerton strands 2. We go to the 9th. Matheson, Wolf, Malfetta coming up for the Cardinal in a 1-1 game.
The NCAA Baseball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and 2% on groceries. And in part by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Capital One rewarding performance of the night. And what a throw by Kyle Stowers, the Stanford left fielder.
Well, it's big-time baseball, and that's what we've had here for 2 days at Palo Alto. And you mentioned it, Rock. Just a perfect throw. Saheed didn't like it. Malfetta did, didn't he?
He was a little pumped. He was a little excited. Well, Matheson, the DH, and also pitching takes a strike, and he probably shoots a glance back to Damian Beal going, hey, can I get that call too?
Yeah, well, he's got to be careful.
Matheson 0 for 3. 6, 7, and 8 for Stanford. Matheson, Wolf, Malfetta. That one fooled him, and it's 0-2.
Kanine's breaking ball is just filthy. I mean, we haven't seen, with the exception of one, Stanford hitter even make contact.
His third inning of relief. He took over in the 7th. Matheson down on strikes, picked up by Cope, completes the strikeout, 1 gone. 4 strikeouts for Brett Kanine.
Well, Kanine, you just wonder how long Rick Vanderhoek's going to leave him out there. Somebody's going to, I mean, you're going to end up playing another game at least, at minimum, for the winner.
The winner will play tomorrow night, stay in the winner's bracket. The loser of this game comes back to play tomorrow afternoon against Baylor. Brandon Wolf doubled in the 7th, 1 for 3.
Is that classified as stirring down there in the bullpen, Rocks?
Which one?
Fullerton?
Yeah, that's stirring. Okay, guys just moving around. Look at the bullpen numbers so far in this regional for both sides.
You got somebody shaking their head with your stirring in the bullpen.
Consider when they're just moving around out there, that's stirring.
Mm-hmm.
And then it changes when somebody gets up to throw.
Yeah, but they're also moving, so, I mean, come on.
Moving, stirring. There's movement in the bullpen, but nobody throwing.
Well, for goodness
Kanine,
sakes,
a strike.
if they're breathing, there's a movement.
Well, sometimes the bullpens are empty.
Hookie's moving.
That's stirring in the bullpen.
How about Hookie? All the way down in the pen?
Foul ball.
How often do you see that?
It happens from time to time that the head coach goes down there. There's different reasons why. Two and two the count on Wolf. 1 out in the 9th.
You trying to say he's not very happy?
No, I didn't say that at all. Wolf is fooled. He's happy with that. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the 9th. Christian Malfetta coming up. So Kanine approaching 40 pitches here. If you're looking to the bottom of the 9th,
It's a good
Titans
breaking ball.
have 6, 7, and 8 due up.
Boy, this breaking ball from Kanine has just been nasty.
Christian Malfetta 0 for 3. Rather 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. A fly out and a strikeout. Stanford catcher. The 1-0. Just low from Kanine. Two down here in the top of the ninth. Yes, Stanford, the host of this regional, but they are the visiting team in this game. Malfetta rolls one to short. Valenzuela scoops it up. And Saheed Valenzuela takes care of it. A 1-2-3 inning for Brett Kanine. We go to the bottom of the ninth inning. Cal State, Fullerton, and Stanford still knotted at 1. We go to the bottom of the ninth in a 1-1 ball game. Stanford and Cal State Fullerton. A couple of changes for the Cardinal here in the bottom of the ninth. Defensively, Christian Robinson comes into the game. Last night's hero, who got the game-winning walk-off double, comes into play center field now for Stanford. The center fielder, Alec Wilson, moves over to right. As Robinson batting in Brandon Wolf's spot, the 7th spot in the order. The freshman comes in. Jacob Pavlidich leads off the ninth, and he takes ball 1. 6, 7, and 8 for the Titans. Pavlidich, Chris Prescott, Jarris Richards against Will Matheson as Pavlidich 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch tonight. 1-1.
Needless to say, imperative that Matheson somehow can find a way to get this leadoff hitter Pavlidich out, because you know what's going to happen if he reaches.
Focus from Will Matheson. Fouled off. Good breaking ball from Matheson. Ball and 2 strikes. So Matheson at 27 pitches. Again, he's the DH tonight as well. He entered the ball game in relief in the 8th. So a second inning of duty. Swing and a miss, and the first strikeout for Will Matheson.
Big time out and a big time pitch. Super location on this breaking ball. Down and away. Big first out.
Chris Prescott, the batter. 0 for 2. Rather 0 for 3. He struck out 3 times, though he reached on a strikeout wild pitch in the 7th.
Could Robinson in center and Wilson in right be playing any deeper, Rocks?
I guess technically they could.
Technically they could.
But they're awfully far out.
And the no doubles is fine, but it has to be appropriate for the hitter. If you had have a hitter at the plate that doesn't have a lot of pop.
Well, Prescott does have 2 home runs.
Yes, he has 2 home runs. But
of Cal State Fullerton's 11 total on the year. No swing after the appeal to Jason Kaminsky.
A little bit over a 5th. Am I correct on that? I said a little bit over. Why are you laughing? Just say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like saying Daniel Cope has a little bit less than half.
Oh, boy.
He's got 5 of the 11. Slap foul. Pinch hitter has moved out on deck for Jarris Richards. That's Jace Chamberlain. One-two pitch. Swing and a miss. Matheson gets the strikeout. Seemed Prescott was really confused.
Yeah, he was, and he just got tied up, and he almost had a delayed swing on this one. Yeah, this ball's in the glove.
So here is Chamberlain batting with 2 outs. And the freshman coming up here, he's from Visalia.
It's a good time to use him. He's up here for one reason. If you've watched this youngster in batting practice, he hit one over the trees in right field, Roxy.
He does not have a home run, though, on the season.
Right.
In 88 at-bats.
He has popped, is all I'm saying.
318 batter. He has driven in 13.
I was standing right there, and Hookie goes, hey, get into one, would you? He did.
2-0. So Chamberlain pinch hitting.
Now's where you just let it go. Turn it loose. Hope you get the fastball. Hope he throws it in your zone.
Here's a drive, deep right center. Back there, and Chamberlain has won it. A walk-off homer from the freshman Chamberlain, his first of the year. And Cal State Fullerton wins it.
Well, this is exactly what Rick Vanderhook sent him up to do. And I guarantee you, having been around Rick and how he talks to this youngster, he said, hit it out, and that's exactly what he did. And it's the greatest game in the world, Roxy.
His first career homer, and he couldn't have picked a better time. And just the 12th home run all season for Cal State Fullerton.
Well, he gets this, and he sees it right now. He knows this ball's out of the yard.
He's a little excited, and he's got every right to be. The walk-off homer for the Titans from Chamberlain, the freshman. Rick Vanderhook's going to see. I told him to hit it over the fence.
That's what I told him to do. I mean, what's the big deal?
What a win for Cal State Fullerton.
Dang, unbelievable, huh?
And the heartbreak for Stanford, considering they played 13 innings here last night. And then the bottom of the ninth, in this winner's bracket game, Chamberlain with the pinch hit homer that wins it for Cal State Fullerton. A look at our bracket here, the Stanford Regional. And the Titans are in the winner's bracket. They're sitting in a tremendous spot now, as Stanford will play Baylor tomorrow at 1 o'clock in an elimination game. And then the winner of that game will have to come back and play Fullerton tomorrow night. And whoever comes back would have to beat Fullerton twice.
Yeah, and this is the same scenario we had last year, right? With Cal State Fullerton coming up to this regional and coming out. But I tell you what, you talk about some big-time college baseball, Roxy, and big-time drama. We're an out, Roxy, away from going to extra innings for the second consecutive night, if not for the young freshman leaving the yard.
So Jumbo Chamberlain, as Rick Vanderhook termed it.
Yes, he does.
And calls him, with the game-winning home run in the bottom of the ninth. And Cal State Fullerton, the 3 seed in this regional, is now 1 win away from moving on to the Super Regionals, as they knock off the home team and the number 2 national seed Stanford here in a tight ball game. So it's Stanford-Baylor at 1 tomorrow, and then the winner has to come back and play Cal State Fullerton tomorrow night.
Yeah, so